Chapter 348. This is second patriarch Lu Fenghua, third patriarch Lu Yintian, fourth patriarch Lu Dixian, fifth patriarch Lu Tianming, 10th patriarch Lu Tianhe. Patriarch 8 introduced them to Lu Li one by one. What surprised Lu Li was that Patriarch 2, Patriarch 3, and Patriarch 4 seemed to be younger. They seemed to be in their 40s or 50s, and their vital energy and chi were young as well. The others, on the other hand, seemed to be much older. After the introduction, Patriarch 8 pointed to Lu Li and said, "This is Lu Li." He said, "He is the son of Lu Renhuang." As soon as the patriarchs came in, their eyes glowed. Lu Li looked so much like Lu Renhuang. If Lu Li were a few years older, he would be more aggressive, more noble and domineering. Then he would be a living Lu Renhuang. 3 patriarchs were excited, but second patriarch, Lu Fenghua, and third patriarch, Lu Yintian frowned. They looked at each other, and third patriarch, Lu Yintian said, "Lu Li, you said you were the son of the human emperor. Do you have a token?" The other 2 patriarchs frowned as well. Lu Li's realm was too low. If he was Lu Renhuang's son, how could his realm be so low? Also, why are you only back now? No matter what, he had to prove Lu Li's identity first. Everything else could be discussed later. Keepsake, Lu Li was taken aback. Where could he get the token? If he had the token, he wouldn't have been hunted down by the Song family. Of course, the fact that he was Lu Renhuang's son was not a problem. Lu Renhuang believed that he would be able to explain himself. He thought for a moment and said, "When I was born, my father disappeared and didn't leave any keepsake. And there's a Lu clan's token, but it was taken away by my elder sister. My elder sister is now in Qing province." Lu Li's words were as good as saying nothing. There was no proof. The other patriarchs frowned. Patriarch 8 asked, "Lu Li, have you awakened the King Kong bloodline? If it awakens, then there won't be any problems." No, I didn't awaken the King Kong bloodline." Lu Li shook his head. If it weren't for the animal tooth pendant, he would have awakened the King Kong bloodline. The group of elders looked at each other, feeling a little suspicious. If he was Lu Renhuang's son, how could he not awaken the King Kong bloodline? Almost all the direct descendants of the Lu family could awaken, except for 1 or 2 who were extremely unlucky. If it were not for the fact that Lu Li looked like Lu Renhuang and that he was not wearing any disguise, he would have been thrown out. Third elder Lu Yintian pondered for a moment before speaking again. "Then what proof do you have that you're the emperor's son?" Lu Li was dumbfounded. He had thought that as soon as he got back to the Lu family, he could be reunited with his family. But now, there was a huge problem. He could not prove that he was Lu Renhuang's son. Seeing that Lu Li was silent, Lu Yintian continued, "How about this? Whatever your father left you, as long as it was his, that was all that mattered. Or did he tell you the secrets of the Lu family? Things? Lu Renhuang only had 1 animal tooth pendant. Now, the animal tooth pendant had disappeared as if it had become the silver dragon mark in his soul pond. As for the Lu family secret, his sister didn't say anything, so how would he know? Seeing that Lu Li had nothing to offer and couldn't say anything, all the patriarchs grew cold. If Lu Li couldn't prove it, they would have no choice but to interrogate him as a fake. Right? Lu Li remembered something and said, "I know the War God album, but only the first section. My sister said it was left by my father." War God album. Patriarch 8 and the other patriarchs were relieved. Patriarch 8 said, "Read it from back to back." Lu Li thought about it and began to recite it. The first section of the War God album only had dozens of words. He had memorized them. He had been cultivating this method. He could recite the first section easily. Yes, it is the War God album. Patriarch 8 was relieved. The War God album was a method unique to the Lu family. Since Lu Li knew the War God album, there should be no problem. But it doesn't prove anything. Lu Fenghua, the second patriarch who had been silent, said, "You all know that there were 2 traitors in the Lu family dozens of years ago. What if the 2 traitors passed the section to someone else? What's more, Lu Li only knows the first section. There are 5 more." The other patriarchs nodded in agreement. They looked at Lu Li with scrutiny. It was as if they wanted to see Lu Li's soul and see if he was a real disciple of the Lu family or a spy sent by other families. Seeing that Patriarch 8 didn't say anything, Lu Li made up his mind and said, "Patriarchs, there is no doubt that I am the son of Lu Renhuang. Where's my grandpa? I want to see him. He should be able to tell if my identity is real or not." Patriarchs' expressions changed. A glint of coldness appeared in their eyes. Second Patriarch and Third Patriarch even had killing intent in their eyes. Patriarch 8 was about to say something when Second Patriarch Lu Fenghua said coldly, "Family Patriarch has been in closed-door cultivation for many years. If he doesn't come out, nobody can see him." Closed-door cultivation? Lu Li was surprised. Then he had some doubts. If he was in closed-door cultivation, why were they so shocked? Lu Li didn't say anything. He was confused. Why did he go back to the Lu family? To ask the powerful warriors of the Lu family to save Lu Renhuang from the ice abyss. He should tell them where Lu Renhuang was and ask the powerful warriors of the Lu family to go to the ice abyss to save Lu Renhuang so that his identity could be proven. However, somehow, Lu Li felt uneasy. He felt that some patriarchs of the Lu family were nice to him and some were hostile. Even though they didn't show it and everything seemed normal, Lu Li still felt uncomfortable. Therefore, he was wondering if he should tell them everything. If his grandpa were here, he would have nothing to worry about. The problem was that he couldn't see his grandpa. Seeing that Lu Li was silent, the patriarchs moved their lips as if they were discussing with each other. After a while, Third Patriarch Lu Liantian said, "Lu Li, you can tell us about your father. Tell us everything you know. We will be able to tell if you are telling the truth." "Yes." Patriarch 8 nodded and said, "Lu Li, go ahead. Tell us everything, and we can be sure of your identity." Lu Li was still silent. Lu Liantian's words made him more alarmed. Lu Renhuang went to the northern desert and was being hunted by powerful warriors. For 20 years, nobody from the Lu family went to the northern desert to look for him. Now his grandpa was in closed-door cultivation. Out of instinct, Lu Li was alarmed and resistant. He didn't dare to take the risk. "Tell us, Lu Li, how can we prove it if you don't say anything?" Patriarch 8 was getting impatient. "I don't know much." After some thoughts, Lu Li decided to withhold some information. He said, "My father and my mother disappeared when I was born. I don't know where they are. My sister was only 4 years old. She only told me that my father was Lu Renhuang and I was a disciple of the Lu family of the Central Plains. She told me to find a way to go back to the family. My sister might know more, but she has been taken to the Palace of Goddess at the Siam Plains. How about you send someone to get my sister back? She must know a lot. Also, she has my father's token with her." The patriarchs were silent again. What Lu Li said was as good as nothing. They couldn't get any useful information from him. Naturally, they couldn't prove Lu Li's identity. "I have an idea." Chapter 349. The Blood Pond of God was famous. Not only the Lu family, but also the 12 royal families. The Blood Pond of God was one of the powerful resources of the 12 royal families. Because of the Blood Pond of God, the families could cultivate powerful warriors quickly and maintain the prosperity of the families. Patriarch 8's suggestion was agreed by all the patriarchs. Only disciples of the families could absorb blood essence from the Blood Pond of God. This was recognized by all the families. Whether Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family or not could be proven by entering the Blood Pond of God. After Patriarch 8's brief introduction, Lu Li agreed with pleasure. He was the son of Lu Renhuang. What was there to be afraid of? They walked out, but they didn't go far. They went out of the Hall of Patriarchs and entered a black castle. The castle had no windows, and it was gloomy inside. Candles were lit everywhere. Creak, creak, inside the castle, Lu Fenghua pressed on the wall. With a black glare, a gate appeared on the smooth wall. Lu Fenghua and the others walked in one by one. Lu Li followed Patriarch 8 into the stone gate. The Blood Pond of God was underground. After entering the stone gate, the passageway extended downwards. The passageway was spacious enough for more than 10 people to walk side by side. There were stone stairs that spiraled downwards. They were fast, but it took them the time for 3 incense sticks to burn. According to his calculations, the Blood of God pool was already tens of thousands of meters underground. Finally, they stopped. They stood in front of a huge black stone gate. Lu Fenghua activated a mechanism and entered a heavily guarded hall. The hall had a radius of more than 3,000 feet. It was spacious and brightly lit. Luli looked into the hall and saw a huge blood-red pond in front of him. The pond was built with some kind of dark red crystals. The length and width were more than 30 feet, and the height was more than 6 feet. The dark red crystals were engraved with mysterious patterns and runes. They were glowing in a dark red glow. Luli took a closer look at the mysterious patterns. He could vaguely see some ghostly faces. The patterns seemed to have come together to form some glaring King Kong, giving people goosebumps and making them afraid to get closer. How come there is cold air? Suddenly, Luli felt a surge of cold air coming from the other side. He looked over and saw a closed stone door. The top of the stone gate was frozen. The cold air must be coming from inside the gate. Could this be another treasure land of the Lu clan? Luli looked away after a quick glance. There were several stone doors in the hall. They must be the special treasured lands of the Lu family. Let's go, Patriarch 8 said to Lu Li and walked over to the blood pond. Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian were already waiting there. Lu Li followed them. He stood near the blood pond and took a look. His pupils contracted. The blood inside was dark red, and it was rippling slightly. There was a heart-palpitating energy coming from it. It felt like it was not blood, but poison. In the end, when the blood fluctuated, it strangely formed a glaring Vajra face. It looked especially ferocious. If this person jumped down, he would feel like he was going to be swallowed alive by this glaring Vajra. Lu Li, you can leave now. As long as you are a disciple of the Lu family, you'll be fine. Patriarch 8 had a kind countenance, looking like a nice old man. The other patriarchs gathered around the blood pond and looked at Lu Li. Lu Li thought about it and took Little White out from his sleeve. Little White was still sleeping. Lu Li handed Little White to Patriarch 8 and walked over to the blood pond slowly. Patriarch 8 looked at Little White but didn't pay much attention. He thought it was just a pet. Seeing that Lu Li was about to jump into the blood pond, Patriarch 8 reminded him, Lu Li, take off your clothes. Lu Li didn't take off his clothes because there was a dragon pattern on his back. He shook his head and jumped into the blood pond. Splash! The blood in the blood pond splashed around, but miraculously, it didn't spill out. The blood pond was more than 6 feet high. Lu Li sank into it, as if he was swallowed by the glaring Vajra. All the patriarchs kept their eyes wide open to observe the blood pond, but none of them used their psychic power. The blood in the blood pond was the source of blood. Psychic power could not be used. Nothing. After the time for a few breaths, the blood pond gradually calmed down. The blood in the pond was rippling as well. It gathered back into the glaring Vajra face. Apart from that, nothing else happened. He really is an imposter. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Fenghua's eyes. Lu Yintian's hand glowed with Xian energy. He was ready to kill Lu Li. It was impossible that someone with the Lu family bloodline couldn't absorb some blood essence. There was no doubt that Lu Li was an imposter. Patriarch 8 frowned and said, let's wait a bit longer. The glow of Xian energy in Lu Yintian's hand dimmed down. The patriarchs waited patiently. Time passed by slowly, but there was still no movement from the blood pool. Many of the elders' faces sank. Lu Li, who was in the blood pond, sank down as well. He was covered in blood, but he didn't feel anything in the blood pond. Many thoughts flashed across his mind. Could it be that there was something wrong with the blood pond? Or was he not a disciple of the Lu family? After the time for half an incense stick to burn, nothing happened in the blood pond. Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian finally lost their patience. Lu Yintian waved his hand and said, Tianhe, get Lu Li out. This time, Patriarch 8 didn't object. Patriarch 10, Lu Tianhe, took out a whip from his interspatial ring and tried to pull Lu Li out. Buzzing right at that moment, The silver dragon mark on Lu Li's back glowed, and the dragon mark began to move around quickly. Then the entire blood pond was stirred up. All the blood was tumbling around. Something is happening. Tianhe, stop. Patriarch 8 shouted in surprise. Patriarch 10 stopped for a moment and then took back his whip. All the patriarchs stared at the blood pond. They frowned when they saw the dark red blood tumbling around. Why did nothing happen when Lu Li went in? Why did it take so long for something to happen? Nothing like this had ever happened before. Gurgle, gurgle, the blood in the blood pond was tumbling like boiling water. Patriarch 8 was relieved. He put on a smile. Only disciples of the Lu family could absorb blood essence in the blood pond of God. Lu Li was absorbing blood essence, which meant that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family. As the blood surged, the color of the blood changed. The dark red blood was turning into a light red color. From the bottom of the blood pond came a muffled scream. Patriarch 8 shouted at once, Lu Li, don't be afraid. You will feel some pain when you absorb the blood essence. That is the blood essence transforming your body and blood. It is beneficial to you. Hang on. Lu Li heard Patriarch 8's words. The scream died down a bit. Clearly, Lu Li was hanging on. Gurgle, gurgle, the blood pond was tumbling. The color of the blood was getting lighter and lighter. It had turned into a light red color, but the blood pond was still tumbling. The patriarchs looked at each other, speechless. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 looked at each other in surprise. But none of the patriarchs said anything. They just kept staring at the blood pond. The time for 1 incense stick to burn, 2 incense sticks, 3 incense sticks. The color of the blood in the blood pond was getting lighter. The color of the blood was turning from light red to translucent. Lu Li could see it clearly from the bottom of the pond. What? The patriarchs were petrified. The blood pond of God had been established for 1,000,000 years. Even the most talented person could only absorb half of the blood essence in the pond. Lu Li had absorbed more than half, and he was still doing it. Chapter 350. Blood essence was good stuff. Every once in a while, many treasures would be thrown into the blood pond to produce some blood essence for the Lu family disciples to absorb. Those who were not disciples of the immediate Lu family and were not talented were not qualified to enter the blood pond. It was also because the blood essence was created from countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures that ordinary people could not absorb too much of it. The more talented and the more powerful the realm, the more blood essence could be absorbed. If a warrior of a low realm or not talented tried to absorb the blood essence by force, he would explode and die because his body could not contain the blood essence. He would also pass out from the excruciating pain. The patriarchs remembered clearly that when Lu Ren Huang entered the blood pond for the first time, he only absorbed about half of the blood essence. Back then, Lu Ren Huang was already at the eternal realm, and he was very talented. He was regarded as the most talented genius of the Central Plains in the past 100,000 years. Lu Li was only at the Soul Pond realm, but he had absorbed more than half of the blood essence. What was more, he did not pass out. Even though he seemed to be in pain and his muscles were trembling, he could bear it. What did it mean for a warrior of the Soul Pond realm to absorb so much blood essence? It meant that Lu Li was talented 2 or 3 times more talented than Lu Ren Huang. Everyone held their breaths, waiting for Lu Li to stop. But the blood in the blood pond was still tumbling. Many strands of blood gathered around Lu Li's body and were absorbed. As the blood in the blood pond became more and more transparent, everyone was speechless. To produce a pond of blood essence, it would cost at least 200 billion Xian crystals worth of elixirs. 200 billion was nothing for the Lu family, but many elixirs were priceless and hard to find. This time, Lu Li absorbed the blood essence of hundreds of disciples of the Lu clan in one go. When the liquid in the blood pond became transparent, Lu Li finally stopped. He stopped trembling, and his expressions returned to normal. The group of elders looked at each other with complicated expressions on their faces. If it were an average disciple of the Lu family, they would be overjoyed. The more blood essence was absorbed, the more talented the person was. Lu Li was different. He was not sure if he was a disciple of the Lu family yet. At first, Lu Li didn't do anything when he entered the blood pond. After a while, he absorbed all the blood essence in the pond. This was so strange and abnormal. Something is not right. Lu Fenghua used psychic power to check Lu Li's body, and he noticed something was wrong. Previously, the blood essence in the pool had prevented his spiritual force from probing inside. Now that the blood essence had been absorbed, his spiritual force could probe inside. Lu Fenghua's psychic power was strong. He could easily sense the glowing silver dragon mark on Lu Li's back. They looked at Lu Fenghua and checked with psychic power. Then, they noticed the dragon pattern on Lu Li's back. The eyes of the group of people flickered, and their hearts were filled with bewilderment. This situation was too strange, and even they could not understand it. After a while, Lu Li opened his eyes. The dragon pattern on his back was no longer glowing or moving. There was no trace of pain on his face. Instead, he looked extremely satisfied. Patriarch 8 shouted, "Lu Li, come out now." Lu Li flew out from the water. Xian energy glowed and evaporated all the water in his body. Before Lu Li had time to check his body, Lu Fenghua shouted, "Lu Li, take off your shirt." "Take off my shirt?" Lu Li frowned. He noticed that many patriarchs were looking at him coldly and judging him. Lu Yintian seemed to be filled with killing intent. It was as if Lu Li didn't cooperate, he would kill Lu Li in one move. Patriarch 8 thought about it and said, "Lu Li, take it off." Lu Li thought about it. He unbuttoned his robe in silence and took off his shirt. He was only wearing a pair of long johns. The patriarchs went to his back at once and stared at the silver dragon pattern. The patriarchs looked at it carefully and used their psychic power to check. Patriarch 4, Lu Dixian, said, "It is not an evil thing. It seems to be some kind of special mark. If the mark on Lu Li's back gave them a trace of evil energy, they would kill Lu Li at once." When Lu Li was absorbing the blood essence, the dragon pattern would glow and move around. Lu Fenghua's nose twitched. He stared at Lu Li with his eagle-like eyes and asked, "Lu Li, what is the dragon pattern on your back?" Lu Li already had a plan. He casually explained, "This is a martial art I am cultivating, the dragon soul fighting body. This cultivation method can strengthen my physical body." "Oh." Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian clearly didn't believe him. Lu Yintian said, "Try it." Without any hesitation, Lu Li released the burning blood skill at once. The dragon pattern on his back glowed and moved around. His body was getting stronger. Every piece of his muscle swelled up, giving him a sense of strength. His eyes glowed in a silver light as well. He had transformed into a human-shaped dragon. The patriarchs were experienced and knowledgeable, so they didn't mind. There were some strange methods of body refinement at the Central Plains. Lu Li's body did become stronger. Lu Li's eyes glowed in a silver light, and the dragon pattern moved around as well. However, they didn't sense any evil energy, which meant that Lu Li was not possessed by an evil being. That being said, nobody thought about bloodline skill because nobody in history had a bloodline mark on their back. Lu Li put his clothes back on, stopped the burning blood skill, and returned to normal. The patriarchs gathered together and moved their lips. Clearly, they were discussing Lu Li's situation through secret means. Lu Li looked calm, but he was nervous inside. He waited quietly for the result of the discussion. Lu Li could absorb the blood essence, which could prove that he was a disciple of the Lu family. The thing was, when Lu Li got into the blood pond, he didn't absorb the blood essence at first. Later on, he absorbed all the blood essence in the pond, and there was a strange dragon pattern on his back. This surprised the patriarchs. They couldn't tell if Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family or not. Lu Li observed for a while. He couldn't hear what they were talking about, but he could get some information from their expressions. The 9 patriarchs seemed to be divided into 3 groups. Patriarch 8, Patriarch 4, and Patriarch 5 were nice to Lu Li. Patriarch 2, Patriarch 3, and Patriarch 10 were not. The other 3 patriarchs seemed to be neutral. They were neither nice nor mean to Lu Li. They would look at Lu Li every now and then as they discussed. Lu Li had to wait for the result of their discussion in silence. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the discussion finally came to an end. Patriarch 8 walked over and said, Luli, something strange happened in the blood pond just now, so we cannot tell your identity completely. Now, we have reached a conclusion. We need to ask a great patriarch to come out from closed-door cultivation. That great patriarch specializes in soul cultivation. He will search your soul to determine your identity. Don't worry. The search will not do any harm to your soul. Search my soul. Li's expressions changed. Wouldn't all his secrets be exposed once he searched his soul? His bloodline skill, animal tooth pendant, little white, and the fact that Lu Ran Huang was at the ice abyss were all exposed. Li was just about to refuse when Patriarch 8 suddenly said something meaningful. Li, don't worry. Great Patriarch is absolutely loyal to the family and the family patriarch. If you really are a disciple of the Lu family, Great Patriarch will only help you and not harm you. Chapter 351. Absolutely loyal to the family and the family patriarch. Patriarch 8's words were meaningful, especially the last 2 words. Being loyal to the family patriarch meant they were on the same side. In other words, there were warriors of the Lu family that were not on the same side. Of the 9 patriarchs, 3 were hostile to Li, and the other 3 seemed to be neutral. Li suddenly felt he had done the right thing by not telling Lu Ran Huang everything rashly. Li thought about it and decided to take a gamble. It seemed that Patriarch 8 was loyal to his grandpa. Of course, even if Li was against it, it wouldn't make much difference. The Lu family could ask the great patriarch to come out and search his soul. Therefore, Li nodded. Patriarch 8 gave Little White back to Li. He looked at Lu Fenghua and the others, and they walked out. They walked up the stone stairs and left the castle. They flew up directly. Patriarch 8 took Li to the small lake in the middle of the Mystic Armor Mountain. It didn't fly too high. Li saw many castles and buildings along the way. He also saw many Lu family warriors and many young masters and young ladies in fancy robes. Who is that? 9 patriarchs at the same time? What is going on? Who is the young man with Patriarch 8? Soon, people started to discuss. The Mystic Armor City had been sealed off for 10 years. Nothing big happened in the city. During the past 10 years, apart from offering sacrifices to the ancestors, it was rare to see so many patriarchs at the same time. Naturally, this attracted a lot of attention. They flew fast and arrived at the lake soon. Li saw a white castle in the middle of the lake. The white castle seemed to be floating on the water. They flew directly to a plaza in front of the castle. Li took a closer look after he landed. He was amazed to make sure that the castle was really floating on the water. The castle must be a treasure. The gate of the castle was closed. Lu Fenghua walked to the gate, cupped his fists, and said, Great Uncle 5, I have something important to ask of you. After Lu Fenghua finished his words, everyone stood on the side and waited in silence. Li stood behind Lu Fenghua with respect. He had a question. The 9 patriarchs of the Lu family were all at the human sovereign realm. Great Patriarch was clearly 1 realm higher. What realm was he at? Li was already confused. A 6th rank force had 3 warriors of the Noble Lord realm, and a 7th rank force had 3 human sovereign realm warriors. Then what realm should the warriors of an 8th rank force be? There are realms above the human emperor? He had forgotten to ask when he met Han Wuxin and Mo Yi, and he did not dare to ask. He just waited quietly. Squeak, squeak, after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the door slowly opened, and a short old man walked out. What surprised Li was that the old man's white hair was casually draped over his shoulders. It was so long that it reached the ground. What was more surprising was that his white eyebrows were so long that they touched the ground as well. The elder wore a black robe, and his white hair and eyebrows were exceptionally eye-catching. His appearance was too peculiar and left a deep impression on others. Moreover, the elder's face was very rosy, just like a youth. He truly had white hair and a youthful complexion. Greetings, 5th granduncle. Lu Fenghua, Lu Yintian, the 4th elder, and the 5th elder all bowed in greeting. The rest of the elders followed suit. "Greetings, Grand Elder." Great Patriarch nodded and soon turned to Luli. Luli was embarrassed. He didn't know how to address the Great Patriarch, so he bowed as well and said, "Greetings, Great Patriarch." "Fifth Granduncle." Lu Finghua pointed to Luli, trying to explain. However, Great Patriarch waved his hand and a glint of light rose in his eyes. Luli had just stood up and made eye contact with Great Patriarch. At that moment, Luli felt the entire world had disappeared. The only thing left in his world was the pair of eyes. He also saw a world in those eyes. He saw the vast void, and he saw the endless stars. Luli's eyes soon became confused and dull. Clearly, he was stunned by Great Patriarch. The others knew that Great Patriarch had begun to search his soul. They all held their breaths, waiting for the result. Luli's entire soul was sucked into that starry sky. He felt he was like a rootless duckweed floating in the void, never reaching the end. What Luli didn't know was that a strand of invisible energy had entered his mind from his eyes and then surged toward his soul pond. This Great Patriarch specialized in soul cultivation. He could even go into the soul of a warrior of the Eternal Realm or the Noble Lord Realm, let alone Luli, who was at the Soul Pond Realm. That strand of invisible energy entered Luli's soul quickly and then surged toward his soul pond. As long as it was in his soul pond, it could search all of Luli's memories. Just like that demon, it could easily get the apparition skill from Luli's soul. However, this time, something unexpected happened. When the energy entered Luli's soul pond, the silver dragon mark in Luli's soul pond suddenly lit up. Then, the silver dragon moved around in Luli's soul pond quickly and expelled that strand of energy from Great Patriarch. Great Elder was surprised and squinted his eyes. Lu Finghua and the others were surprised by Great Elder's reaction. They looked at each other, speechless. Luli, a warrior of the Soul Pond realm, could surprise Great Patriarch? What was going on? Great Patriarch said nothing. His eyes glowed, and then he increased the amount of energy invading Luli's soul. This time, it was not just one strand of energy, but 10 strands. 10 strands of energy might be enough to destroy the soul pond of any warrior of the Noble Lord Realm. Great Patriarch didn't act rashly. He let the 10 strands of energy spread out and invaded Luli's soul pond from all sides. The result surprised Great Patriarch even more. That silver dragon mark seemed to have some kind of magic power. All the energy Great Patriarch sent and was expelled. Great Patriarch seemed to be angry. He controlled the 10 strands of energy to force into Luli's soul. With a boom, Luli's soul pond trembled. He fell to the ground and passed out. What made Great Patriarch speechless was that all 10 strands of energy were expelled from his body. He took back the energy, sighed, and said, "I cannot search the young man's soul. There is a treasure in his soul. If I search his soul by force, his soul will vanish." The patriarchs were stunned. The Lu family's Great Patriarch, who ranked 13th on the warlord list of the Great Land and was famous for his soul cultivation, could not search the soul of a young man of the Soul Pond realm. This was the biggest joke in the world. If this matter was spread out, Luli's reputation would rise in the Central Plains and the world. What kind of treasure was in Luli's soul pond? What kind of treasure could stop the Grand Elder's investigation? Lu Finghua and Lu Yintian almost wanted to dig Luli's head open to see what it was. The Great Elder pondered for a moment and said, "What is it exactly? Tell me in detail." The 8th Elder pondered for a moment, then recounted everything that had happened, not leaving out a single detail. Great Patriarch waved his hand and said without thinking, "There is no need to doubt it. This young man is a disciple of the Lu family, since he can absorb the blood essence from the blood pond of God. Take him to rest now. His soul is damaged. When he recovers, bring him to me." Patriarch 8, Patriarch 4, and Patriarch 5 looked at each other with excitement. Great Patriarch was sure that Luli was Lu Renhuang's son. Chapter 352. Luli was brought back to the dragon's pavilion. He stayed in the same attic with Mingyu and Yu Huashan. Mo Yi, on the other hand, didn't stay with them. He had his own room. Lu Li's soul was invaded by Great Patriarch. Even though he was driven out by the silver dragon in his soul pond, his soul was still hurt, and he passed out. He slept for 2 days and 2 nights before he woke up. After waking up, he felt a headache from time to time. After he woke up, the 8th elder came over and fed him some soul-nourishing elixirs. Only then did he feel a little better. The real name of Patriarch 8 was Lu Yinshan. Theoretically speaking, he was of the same generation as Lu Li's grandpa, and he was even older than Lu Li's grandpa. His current position in the family was that of the head steward. He was in charge of all the small matters of the family. Currently, the 8th elder was in charge of the external affairs of the family. Lu Finghua, Lu Yintian, and 4th Patriarch Lu Dixian were from the same generation as Lu Li's father. The reason why the three could become patriarchs and be so powerful was that they were disciples of the immediate Lu family, cousins of Lu Renhua. The rest of the elders were all born in the branch family, and their ages varied. The oldest, the 7th elder, was already more than 1,000 years old. Mo Yi had explained all of this to Lu Li after he had visited him. Lu Li thought about what he had seen and guessed. He felt the situation at the Lu family was complicated. The Lu family seemed to be divided into factions. In other words, the Lu family wasn't united, and there might even have been internal strife. Lu Li remembered that his father, Lu Renhuang, went to the northern desert, and nobody went to the northern desert to look for him for 20 years. Lu Li felt uneasy. After so many hardships and journeying across mountains and rivers, Lu Li finally returned to the Lu family that he had been longing for day and night. But when he returned to the Lu clan, he did not see the scene he had been expecting. There were no Lu clan disciples welcoming him back warmly. There were no clansmen hugging him with tears in their eyes. He did not see anyone close to him. On the contrary, his identity was being questioned, and he was being questioned by the Lu family. Even Lu Finghua and Lu Yintian wanted to kill him. Even though he did not have anything to prove his identity, he knew the chant of the War God album. He looked so much like Lu Renhuang. Also, he did not believe that anyone would have the guts to pretend to be a disciple of the Lu family. His grandfather was in seclusion. Even if he was in seclusion, the clan elders should have the authority to inform him, right? What if the mystic armor city was breached? Could it be that he couldn't inform his grandfather and could only watch helplessly as the disciples of the Lu clan were killed? He was the only grandson of the Lu family's king. Also, Lu Renhuang had been missing for 20 years. Now that he was back, shouldn't he inform his grandpa at once? Moreover, it had been a day since he had woken up from his coma. Other than the 8th elder who had come once, Mo Yi had come once. No elders came to visit, and no clansmen came to visit. Patriarch 8 had said that Great Patriarch had confirmed Lu Renhuang's identity as a disciple of the Lu family. Then why was Lu Renhuang's son so unpopular? Lu Renhuang was the future family patriarch of the Lu family, the most talented genius of the Central Plains in 100,000 years. Everything was strange. There were too many questions. The patriarch's attitude towards him made Lu Li's burning heart turn cold. He actually did not have much affection for the Lu family. However, he had always been sure of one thing, and that was that this was his home, his roots. There were many people here who shared the same blood as him. Lu Li sat on the bed all night thinking. He didn't fall asleep until the sun rose. It was late in the morning when Patriarch 8 came again. This time, there was one more person, Patriarch 4, Lu Dixian. They asked about Lu Li's injuries with concern. Lu Li said he was better, but it would take some time for him to recover completely. After some small talk, Lu Dixian said, "Lu Li, the family has confirmed that you are a disciple of the Lu family. But some patriarchs are not sure that you are the son of Lu Renhuang. After all, you don't have any proof. So, we are here to ask you if you know where your father is. If you do, we will send someone to look for him at once. As long as your father is back, everything will be fine." Lu Li had thought about this for a long time last night. He shook his head almost without thinking and said, "I have said it before. My parents went missing when I was born. I didn't even see my father. I don't have any news about him. If you can bring my sister back, I think she will know more. She has my father's token. Your sister? Lu Dixian frowned and asked, You said your sister is at the Siam Plains? Is she your real sister? Yes. Luli nodded with certainty and said, She is my real sister. We share the same father and mother. She was taken away by the palace of goddess at the Siam Plains. She is a fire phoenix birth. They took her away by force. Fire phoenix birth? Lu Dixian and Patriarch 8, Lu Yinshan, looked at each other. Lu Dixian was angry. He snorted and said, How dare the palace of goddess? How dare they take away a disciple of the Lu family? Uncle Yinshan, how about I go there myself and destroy the palace of goddess? No. Patriarch 8 shook his head and said, Our family has given the order to seal off the city. Nobody can go out unless they have the permission of the great patriarch. If you go out, you will be violating the family rules. Patriarch 8 thought about it and said, Isn't Emoyi here? It is just a small palace of goddess. Emoyi can send a message to the palace of blue lions and bring some people there. Don't make too much noise. Just bring Lu Li's sister back. We can talk about it later. Lu Li's eyes glowed. The palace of blue lions was a 7th-rank force with at least 3 human sovereign realm warriors. Emoyi and the others could bring Lu Ling back easily. What was more, Emoyi represented the Lu family. Unless the palace of goddess was tired of living, they wouldn't refuse. At once, Lu Li said with excitement, I will go with them. I want to bring my sister back in person. You? Patriarch 8 thought about it and said with a frown, I don't think you should go. Your wounds are not healed yet. You have absorbed so much blood essence. You must cultivate as soon as possible or it will be wasted. You're too weak. It will be useless even if you go. You can't teleport continuously, can you? Okay. Lu Li felt dizzy thinking about taking the teleportation formation. Also, it would take longer if he went. The wounds in his soul could not be cured in a day or two. Blood essence. He had forgotten about it. He asked after a pause, This is good for cultivation? I don't feel anything. Blood essence is hiding in every part of your body. You will feel the benefits when you cultivate. Not only will it be beneficial to your cultivation of profound strength, it will also be beneficial to the cultivation of your soul and physical body. Patriarch 8 explained and then added, Later, I will have someone give you a book on soul cultivation. You take care of your wounds and cultivate for the next few days. We will talk about it after you have absorbed the blood essence and healed. Lu Dixin added, Yes, Lu Li, don't worry. We will send someone to bring your sister back. The Siam Plains will not refuse a disciple of the Lu family. Also, what is your sister's name? Do you have a portrait? Lu Li told Lu Dixian about Lu Ling at once. Lu Dixian found an artist and asked Lu Li to draw a portrait of her. Lu Li also told Mo Yi that he gave Han Wuxin 20 billion Xian crystals, that the Han family helped him, and that the Song family was after him. Lu Dixian left to find Mo Yi to make arrangements. Patriarch 8 stayed behind and told Lu Li to focus on cultivation and not to worry about anything else. He would take care of it. Seeing that Patriarch 8 was about to leave, Lu Li asked, Patriarch 8, is my grandpa really in closed-door cultivation? Patriarch 8 paused. He turned around and said, Lu Li, don't ask about this. Let's talk about it after we bring your sister back and find your father. Then can I see my aunt? Lu Li asked one last question. Chapter 353. Auntie? Lu Li's eyes were filled with passion again. They were his 2 closest relatives in the Lu family, and they were people he could trust with absolute confidence. These days, he had met several people of the same generation as his grandfathers and some of his uncles. Even though Patriarch 8 said that the great patriarch was loyal to his grandpa, Lu Li was still worried. Therefore, he didn't tell them that his father was in the ice abyss. Maybe the Lu family could find out that he was from the northern desert and send someone there to investigate. But only Lu Li and his sister knew that his father was in the ice abyss. Even Mingyu didn't know. He might have some doubts. who would go to the ice abyss for no reason. That was the most dangerous place at the northern desert. Therefore, as long as Lu Li and Lu Ling didn't say anything, nobody would know where Lu Renhuang was. While Lu Li was thinking about it, a maid came in with a golden booklet. Lu Li opened it and saw 3 words: Soul Cultivation Method. There were 2 ways to cultivate the soul pond. One was to rely on treasure materials, and the other was to rely on soul cultivation methods. Lu Li learned a method to cultivate the soul from Mingyu, but the progress was slow. The method given by the Lu family would not be bad. Lu Li became excited when he thought about the blood essence mentioned by Patriarch 8. He had absorbed all the blood essence in the pond. Of course, not all the blood essence in the pond was absorbed by Lu Li. More of it was absorbed by the silver dragon mark in his soul pond. Lu Li didn't tell anyone about this. In the underground hall, Lu Li said that the silver dragon mark on his back was just that he was cultivating a special method to refine his body. This was his secret, and he didn't want anyone to know. As soon as he got into the blood pond, he didn't absorb any blood essence. Later, he suddenly started because of the silver dragon mark. He could vaguely feel that a lot of blood essence was absorbed by the silver dragon mark in his soul pond. This was so strange that Lu Li didn't dare to talk about it or ask the Lu family. At the moment, Lu Li didn't care too much. He focused on the soul cultivation method. In just half a day, he had learned it. This soul cultivation method was much better than the one Mingyu gave him and more mysterious. The cultivation technique that Mingyu gave him was only to refine his soul, allowing his soul to slowly strengthen and grow naturally. Not only did this soul refining technique increase the speed of refinement by several times, it could also absorb the essence of the profound energy between heaven and earth and transform it into soul force. According to the soul refining technique, the Xian Qi of heaven and earth contained all kinds of energy and was the source of all things. The heaven and earth Xian Qi nurtured all living things, and all the treasures of heaven and earth were actually born from the heaven and earth Xian Qi. Therefore, some of the essence energy in the Xian Qi of heaven and earth could be directly transformed into soul energy to strengthen the soul pond. Cultivate. After learning the cultivation method, Lu Li didn't even have time to eat. He started closed-door cultivation at once. Once he started cultivating, he realized that it was at least 5 times faster than Mingyu's cultivation technique. Adding on the energy that he absorbed from heaven and earth to nourish his soul, the speed was several times faster. It was at least 8 times faster than Mingyu's cultivation technique. Based on the progress of Mingyu's cultivation method, it would take Lu Li at least more than 10 years to reach the peak of the soul pond realm if he didn't use any soul-related elixirs. Now that he had this cultivation method, it would take him at most a year or so. If he had treasures like soul crystals to consume continuously, the time would be reduced by half. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 didn't give Lu Li any elixirs. After cultivating for 2 hours, Lu Li realized that they were not being stingy. He didn't need any elixirs at all. While he was cultivating, there would be a strange energy coming out from his body and surging into his soul pond. It made his soul pond grow at a horrifying speed. It was much faster than consuming soul crystals. Blood source. Only now did Lu Li truly understand what Patriarch 8 meant by great benefits. This blood essence was definitely a supreme treasure. He had only cultivated for 2 hours, but he felt it was faster than consuming hundreds of soul crystals. What Lu Li didn't know was that the Blood Pond of God was one of the 12 royal families' heritage. It was one of the foundations for the 12 royal families to cultivate powerful warriors quickly. It was also one of the conditions that allowed Lu Renhuang and the others to cultivate so fast. Lu Renhuang reached the human sovereign realm at the age of 20, not only because of his talent, but also because of the resources of the Lu family. Lu Li's body and soul were in a state of excitement. He forgot everything else and focused on cultivating his soul pond. If nobody disturbed him at this moment, he would cultivate for 10 days or even a month until his body couldn't stand it anymore. Lu Li cultivated through the night until dawn. It was not until noon that he was woken up. Mingyu walked in and reported, "Young master, Madame Fei Xue is here." Lu Li opened his eyes and then closed them again. He checked his soul pond and exclaimed to himself. The blood source was amazing. His soul pond was twice as large as before. He was about to reach the middle stage of the soul pond realm. Granted, he had consumed many soul crystals, but it had only been half a day and a night. Lu Li's eyes were filled with excitement. As long as he could maintain this progress, in less than a month, he could reach the peak of the soul pond realm. Auntie is here. Lu Li stopped his thoughts and looked at Mingyu, who nodded. Lu Li stood up, tidied up his clothes, and walked out in strides. In the hall outside, Yu Huashan was guarding at the door. In the middle of the hall stood a beautiful lady with a maid next to her. The lady had a good figure and a pretty face. She was holding on to her sleeves, looking around with anticipation and nervousness in her eyes. As soon as Lu Li walked out, the lady looked over. She trembled when she saw Lu Li's face. Tears glistened in her eyes. She moved her lips, and she was overwhelmed with excitement. Lu Fei Xue should be 35 or 36 years old, but she looked like she was in her early 20s. She was gentle and lovely. The tears in her eyes made her look even more lovely. Lu Li was excited as well, but he stopped and looked at the lady from a distance. It was as if time had stopped. Lu Li was getting more and more excited. After the time for more than a dozen breaths, Lu Li took a deep breath and walked over step by step. Drip, drip, drip. Lu Fei Xue couldn't hold back her tears anymore. They rolled down from her chin to the ground, making a clear sound. She moved her lips before she said in a trembling voice, You are really my brother's son?" Lu Li's eyes reddened. He sped up and walked to Lu Fei Xue. He dropped to his knees and said, "I am Lu Li. I am here to kowtow to you." Get up, get up, get up." Lu Fei Xue bent down and grabbed Lu Li's hands. Tears ran down from her eyes. Seeing that Lu Li didn't get up and was still kowtowing, she knelt down as well. She hugged Lu Li and said incoherently, "Good boy, don't kowtow. I am useless and I have wronged you. Don't be afraid. I am here. Nobody can hurt you." Lu Fei Xue's tears fell on Lu Li's face, wetting his clothes and hair. His heart was melted as well. Lu Li's heart trembled. Tears welled up in his eyes. He rarely cried, but this time he cried like a child. Chapter 354. Lu Fei Xue was not powerful. She was only at the peak of the eternal realm, which surprised Lu Li. After all, the Lu family was rich and had endless resources. As the daughter of the Lu family patriarch, she should be able to reach the noble lord realm with resources, even if she was not talented. Lu Fei Xue was really nice to him. There was nothing fake about her true feelings. It was as if Lu Li was her own son who had been lost in the outside world. Lu Li grew up without parents and never enjoyed the love of a mother or father. Lu Fei Xue's true feelings touched Lu Li. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Lu Fei Xue finally calmed herself down. She pulled Lu Li to a couch and patted his face. Forcing a smile, she nodded and said, "You are my brother's son. You're so alike." Lu Li didn't do anything. He just smiled at Lu Fei Xue. Lu Fei Xue came to her senses after a while. She asked nervously, "Your name is Lu Li? Where's your father? Why didn't he come back with you?" "My father?" Lu Li wanted to tell her about Lu Renhuang directly, but he decided to leave it at that. Lu Fei Xue's realm was too low and she was married. She seemed to be weak. It would be pointless to tell her. Lu Li decided to get some information first. He said, "I don't know where my father is. My parents went missing when I was born. My sister and I grew up with each other. I heard from my sister that we are disciples of the Lu family, so I came." Lu Fei Xue seemed to have no idea about Lu Li's situation. She was upset, and she asked, "What about your sister? Why didn't she come with you?" Lu Li sighed and said, "My sister was taken to the Cyan Plains by the Palace of Goddess. Well, Patriarch 4 has sent someone to save her." Lu Fei Xue opened her mouth in surprise. Her eyes reddened again. She sobbed and said, "What a tough life. You must have suffered a lot over the years. Where's my brother? Didn't he come to you?" Lu Li shook his head. He was surprised. Why wasn't Lu Feishua angry when she heard that her sister was taken away? When the daughter of the Lu family patriarch heard that her niece was captured, shouldn't she fly into a rage and go to the family to destroy the palace of goddess? Was it because Lu Feishua was gentle and weak? Or was she incapable? Lu Feishua asked more about Lu Li and Lu Ling over the years. Lu Li told her about his life at the northern desert. He came from a northern desert. It was too easy to find out. There was no need to hide it. Lu Feishua shed tears again after she heard about Lu Li's experiences over the years. Then, she went on to ask about trivial matters, such as what Lu Li's mother looked like and how his grandpa was doing. Lu Li was not annoyed. Instead, he felt warmer. Only his own aunt would care so much about him. The other patriarchs never asked about this. A moment later, Lu Feishua thought of something. The interspatial ring on her finger glowed as she took out a red sword, handed it to Lu Li, and said, "Lu Li, I don't have anything for you. This weapon is a Saint Grade Xian artifact. Take it as a greeting gift for you. I hope you don't mind." Lu Li quickly refused. Holy grade weapons were precious. Moreover, he didn't like and wasn't used to using swords. This sword was red and suitable for girls, so he didn't want it. What? Lu Feishua pulled a long face and pretended to be angry. "You don't like the present? Are you looking down on me? I used to use this sword, but I am married now. There is no use for me to keep it. This is a gift for me. Don't refuse." What? Lu Li was surprised again. Lu Feishua was the daughter of the Lu family patriarch and the wife of the future master of the Palace of Gods, a 7th-rank force. She gave a gift to her nephew, and it was something she used? Holy Grade Xian artifact was valuable. It could be sold at 4 or 5 billion Xian crystals. However, to the Lu family, a single hair from their leg was worth billions. For example, Lu Li asked Mo Yi to borrow 20 billion Xian crystals, but Mo Yi didn't say anything. Mo Yi was just the master of a 6th-rank force, the Palace of Ares. So, according to common sense, Lu Feishua could easily take out a few holy-level Xian weapons, but she gave away the weapon she had used before? This was not normal. Lu Li looked at Lu Feishua with doubt. Suddenly, his pupils contracted. He saw a red mark on the back of Lu Feishua's neck. He stood up and looked at the back of Lu Feishua's neck. Lu Feishua sensed it. She covered it up with her hair and said in a panic, "Lu Li, what are you looking at? Sit down." Lu Li reached out his hand and brushed her hair aside. He was taken aback when he saw a deep blood stain. He stared at Lu Feishua coldly and asked, "Who did this?" That was clearly a whip mark, and it was deep. Her skin must have been torn open. Lu Feishua was even more panicked. She looked away, afraid to make eye contact with Lu Li. She said in a hurry, "It's okay. I cut it by accident. Lu Li, don't be rude." Whoosh, Lu Li saw that Lu Feishua moved her hand away. He reached out, grabbed her hands, and rolled up her sleeves. "How dare you?" When he saw the crisscrossed red whip marks on Lu Feishua's hands, he could no longer hold back his killing intent. His eyes were slightly red as he stared at Lu Feishua like a ferocious beast. His emotionless voice came from his throat. "Aunt, tell me, who did it? I will stand up for you. Whoever it is, I will make him pay." Lu Renhuang only had one sister, and Lu Li only had one aunt. This aunt was nice to him and treated him like her own son. Lu Li had regarded this aunt as his family member. At this moment, he realized that Lu Feishua had been whipped all over her body. This was more painful than someone stabbing Lu Li more than a dozen times with a knife. "It's okay, it's okay." Lu Feishua was in a panic. Her hands and shoulders were trembling. She was frightened by Lu Li's expressions. She said with trembling lips, "Lu Li, don't worry. It's okay." Lu Li grabbed Lu Feishua's hands and shouted again, "Tell me, who did this?" Maybe Lu Feishua was frightened by Lu Li's anger, or maybe it was her nephew's concern for her. Lu Feishua struggled for a while. She moved her lips and said, "I'm okay. I quarreled with your uncle-in-law last night. He was drunk and—" "Okay, I understand. Aunt, stay here. I will be back soon." Lu Li nodded. Then he stood up, waved to Mingyu and Yu Huaxin and said, Let's go. Lu Li, what do you want? Lu Feishue was scared. She stood up and grabbed Lu Li. Her eyes were filled with fear. She looked at Lu Li and begged, Lu Li, don't do anything stupid. I'm okay. Mingyu, suppress my aunt. Lu Li looked at Mingyu with coldness in his eyes. Mingyu had no choice but to use force to suppress Lu Feishue. Yu Huashan took Lu Li and flew up. Chapter 355. Yu Huashan and Lu Li flew away. After a while, Mingyu said to Lu Feishue, Madam, you better stay here. It will be worse if you go with them. Nobody can stop young master from doing what he has decided. Mingyu slowed down a bit, but he didn't go with Lu Li. Lu Li had told him to keep Lu Feishue in check. How could he go against Lu Li's will? Lu Li had already flown away to the Hall of Patriarchs without any hesitation. When Lu Feishue heard that Lu Ling was captured, she didn't get angry at all. Lu Li was already surprised. Now, he understood that Lu Feishue must have been tortured for so many years that she had lost her drive. She had become weak and resigned to adversity. Later, Lu Feishue gave her a gift. It was a holy grade weapon that she used before. Lu Li was even more surprised. The daughter of the Lu family patriarch couldn't give him a decent gift? Lu Li came to his senses when he saw Lu Feishue's injuries. He didn't understand why his uncle-in-law would treat Lu Feishue like this. What had happened to Lu Feishue? He didn't want to know anything now. All he wanted was to seek justice for Lu Feishue. Lu Feishue was his aunt. His grandpa didn't care, and his father wasn't here. As the only family member of Lu Feishue, he must stand up for her. Stop! Lu Li was alarmed by a shout while he was deep in thought. Then he flew up with a team of warriors, all of them at the Eternal Realm. One of them shouted, The Mystic Armor Mountain has rules. Only patriarchs can fly in the sky. Get down. Piss off. Lu Li was fuming. How dare these puny warriors come here to make trouble? He shouted. His voice was like a clap of thunder, shaking the castles down below. The warriors didn't leave. Instead, they spread out in a fan shape to stop Yu Huashan and Lu Li. Lu Li shouted angrily, Yu Huashan, do it. Yu Huashan was Lu Li's slave, so he couldn't disobey him. He made up his mind and sped up. A huge saber appeared in his hand and shot out rays of sword light. A warrior of the Noble Lord Realm could suppress a warrior of the Eternal Realm. As soon as Yu Huashan sped up and took action, the 7 or 8 warriors couldn't dodge. They were all smashed away. Their golden armors cracked. Many warriors spat out blood and were smashed away. Wow, the crowd was in an uproar. Someone dared to fight at the Mystic Armor Mountain? This was the base camp of the Lu family. The Lu family valued family rules the most. Anyone who dared to mess around on the Mystic Armor Mountain would face serious consequences. Isn't that the youth who was brought along by a few elders a few days ago? Yes, I heard that he's the son of the young clan leader. Nonsense. The family has only confirmed his identity as a disciple of the Lu family. They have not confirmed that he is the son of the young family head. No matter who he is, he will be severely punished for breaking the family rules and causing trouble on the Mystic Armor Mountain. Yu Huashan frowned as he heard the discussion, but Lu Li didn't care. How could the Lu clan not care about Lu Feishue's treatment? This made him hate the Lu family as well. Right now, he was going to the Elder Hall to demand an explanation, not to mention sending a few guards flying. Even if he had to kill someone, he would not hesitate. Whoosh, 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 more and more escorts flew up. Lu Li was getting more and more furious. He stared at the escorts coldly and said, Get lost if you don't want to die. Otherwise, don't blame us for what we will do. Yu Huashan, smack away anyone who dares to stand in our way. Life or death. Yu Huashan had to carry out Lu Li's order. He sped up to the limit and released his bloodline skill. Flames danced around in the sky, smacking away the escorts one by one. The dragon's pavilion was not far away from the Hall of Patriarchs. Yu Huashan was fast enough. In the time for just a dozen breaths, he and Yu Huashan were close to the Hall of Patriarchs. More than a dozen escorts had been smacked away. Stop! An angry shout came from the Hall of Patriarchs. Patriarch 8 flew up, and a surge of horrifying chi and energy pressed down. Yu Huashan wanted to smack away the rest of the escorts, but he stopped when he saw Patriarch 8. Patriarch 8 had always been kind and gentle. Now, even his expression darkened. He looked at Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, are you out of your mind? How dare you mess around at the Mystic Armor Mountain? Everyone here is your family. How dare you do this?" Ha ha ha. Lu Li raised his head and laughed. His eyes were filled with mockery. He said with a cold smile, "Patriarch 8, maybe you don't know me. I have already shown you mercy by not killing anyone. If you don't give me an explanation for what happened today, I am afraid someone is going to die. Someone is going to die." This was a serious statement. Another uproar came from down below. More and more people flew out from the buildings and yards of the castles. Many people were discussing and pointing at each other, trying to find out what was going on. Seeing Lu Li's cold eyes, Patriarch 8 looked around and saw many onlookers. He said with a dark face, "Go to the Hall of Patriarchs and talk. It is improper to shout here. The others go back." Patriarch 8 flew back to the Hall of Patriarchs first. Many people were stunned. Lu Li smacked away several escorts and said such words. How come Patriarch 8 didn't lose his temper? "Go to the Hall of Patriarchs." Lu Li waved his hand. Yu Huashan took him and flew to the yard of the Hall of Patriarchs. Many people of the Lu family acted immediately. They rushed to the Hall of Patriarchs, ready to check with their psychic power. The Mystic Armor City was sealed. No disciple of the Lu family could go out. The Lu family rules were strict. Nobody dared to act rashly in the city. Therefore, nothing big had happened in the Mystic Armor City over the years. Now that there was such a good show to watch, many people were excited. Lu Li flew down to the yard of the Hall of Patriarchs, but he didn't see many patriarchs. Only Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 were here. There was also a young master, elegant and graceful. His realm was good as well at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm. Lu Li ignored that young master. He looked at Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 and said, "Patriarchs, please come with me to the Palace of Gods. When this is over, I will apologize to the patriarchs." Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 were not happy. They frowned on hearing Lu Li's words. Patriarch 4 pointed to the young master and said, "What are you going to the Palace of Gods for? This is the young master of the god of Heaven Manor. He's also your uncle. You could talk to him if you need anything." Lu Li was surprised. Then he put on a cruel smile. He looked at the young master and coldly asked, "You are the young master of the Palace of Gods? You are the husband of my auntie Fei Xue?" The young master looked at Lu Li with a frown. Soon, he came to his senses. He smiled politely and said, "I am Qiu Wenze, the husband of Lu Fei Xue. You are my nephew, Lu Li." "No, I am not your nephew." Lu Li shook his head. Then he shouted, "Yu Huashan, cover me." Yu Huashan was stunned. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 were surprised. They didn't understand what Lu Li meant. Yu Huashan reacted quickly. He released his bead of life and bloodline skill at once. Dragons of fire danced around in the yard. Whoosh, whoosh, the silver dragon mark on Lu Li's back glowed. He divided himself into 2, then 4. In the end, there were more than a dozen clones. He dashed toward Qiu Wenze as fast as he could. Qiu Wenze, Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 8 were all distracted by Yu Huashan. They didn't expect that Lu Li would dare to make a move. Lu Li was only dozens of feet away from Qiu Wenze. Before anyone could react, Lu Li had reached Qiu Wenze. Swish, Lu Li's hand that he was hiding in his sleeve suddenly showed up. It was not a hand, but a silver claw that had a cold glare and was filled with killing intent. It was a claw that could tear something apart. More than a dozen Lu Li's clones rushed toward Qiu Wenze from all directions. Dozens of beast claws glowing in silver light reached toward Qiu Wenze. The sharp sound of the claw piercing through the air resounded in an area with a radius of more than 1 mile. Qiu Wenze, Patriarch 4, Patriarch 8, and all the warriors outside trembled in fear. Chapter 356. There were more than a dozen Lu Li, more than a dozen beast claws, and all of them looked the same. Xiao couldn't tell which one was the real one. He was only at the noble lord realm, so he couldn't either. More importantly, Xiao never thought that Lu Li would dare to make a move. Neither did Patriarch 4, Patriarch 8, and all the others. Lu Li was just a warrior of the Soul Pond realm. He was no different from a kid in the eyes of others. What abilities could he have? At this moment, everyone realized they were wrong, so wrong. Xiao, in particular, felt his soul was trembling because he sensed death from the beast's claw. It was as if Lu Li was no longer Lu Li, but a horrifying beast. Xiao was at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm. He reacted quickly. He took out a shield at once and put it in front of his head and body, trying to protect himself from Lu Li's beast claw. Bang! The moment the shield appeared, it was immediately crushed. The beast's claw pierced through the shield and grabbed Xiaowen's neck. How dare you! Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 finally came back to their senses. Even though they were distracted by Yu Huashan in the beginning, they were shocked by Lu Li's cloning skill. But they were both at the human sovereign realm. If Lu Li killed someone in front of them, then they would have lived their lives in vain. A ray of white glare came out from them at the same time. Then 2 white force fields appeared and suppressed the space in the Hall of Patriarchs. Force field was a skill that only warriors of the human sovereign realm could use. Space inside the force field could be frozen. Nobody below the human sovereign realm could move. Lu Li's beast claw had grabbed Xiaowen's neck, but he could not go any further. Xiaowen almost collapsed. Blood was coming out from his neck. He knew very well that if the 2 patriarchs were slower for one breath, his neck would have been crushed. Since he was a kid, this was the first time that he felt death, and it was so clear and definite. His entire body was trembling slightly, but because he was suppressed by the domain, he couldn't move. His eyes were filled with fear. He looked at Lu Li's face that was so close to him, at Lu Li's eyes that were cold to the extreme and glowing in silver light. Xiaowen felt this man was not a young man or his nephew, but a demon, a Xin beast in human form. Xiao, Patriarch 8 moved and smashed Yu Huashan away. Then he moved again and hit Lu Li's left shoulder, smashing Lu Li away as well. Puffed. Neither Yu Huashan nor Lu Li could stand a casual strike from a warrior of the human sovereign realm. Both of them spat out blood as they were smashed into the yard. Yu Huashan even bumped into the wall. Whew! The gravitational field disappeared. Xiaowen gasped for breath. His legs felt weak, and he fell to the ground. Then he came to his senses. He stood up, covered his neck with one hand, and shouted hysterically, Lu Li, you want to kill me? You want to kill me? Patriarchs, Lu Li wants to kill me. Lu Li rolled on the ground and stood up. He grinned, but it was a ferocious grin. He looked at Xiaowen calmly, pointed at him with his beast claw, and said, Yes, I'm going to kill you. Not convinced. How about we have a fair fight and be responsible for our own lives? Young Master Qiao, do you have the guts? Xiaowen wanted to accept the challenge out of instinct. But when he saw Lu Li's beast claw glowing in silver light, like the claw of death, Xiaowen didn't know what to say. Enough! Patriarch 8 shouted in rage, like thunder. He stared at Lu Li and said, Lu Li, if you don't give me an explanation today, don't blame me for showing no mercy. Patriarch 8 was truly enraged. Lu Li had broken the family rules by injuring the escorts. Patriarch 8 could tolerate it if it was a trivial matter. But Lu Li almost killed Xiaowen right in front of them. Xiaowen was the young master of the Palace of Gods. If Xiaowen was killed, the entire Palace of Gods would rebel. Ah ha ha! Lu Li raised his head and laughed. This time, he laughed for a long time, and his voice was loud. His voice was heard in an area with a radius of more than 1 mile. More disciples of the Lu family were alarmed. After a while, Lu Li stared at Patriarch 8 and shouted, Show no mercy? How can you show no mercy? You want to kill me? My grandpa is the family patriarch of the Lu family, and my father is Lu Renhuang. I am the grandson of the family patriarch. You want to kill me? I, Lu Li, have traveled thousands of miles and gone through so much to get back to the family. Is this how you treat me? You want to kill me? Come on. If I, Lu Li, blink, I will be your grandson. Lu Li's voice was loud. His voice was heard in an area with a radius of more than 1 mile. His voice was like the roar of dragons and tigers. Everyone in the Lu family heard it clearly. What? Noises came from all directions. Many people swarmed over to the Hall of Patriarchs. Lu Li's words were too shocking. Lu Li said in public that he was the grandson of the family patriarch, and Patriarch 8 wanted to kill Lu Li. Whoosh, 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 from the distance, several people flew over. Second Patriarch, Lu Fenghua, and other patriarchs were alarmed. They dashed over like sharp swords. The entire Mystic Armor Mountain was in an uproar as well. The news spread out at a horrifying speed. More and more people swarmed over to the Hall of Patriarchs. What is this? Lu Fenghua and the others landed. They saw Lu Li and Patriarch 8 staring at each other angrily like a lion. Lu Li and Yu Huashan had blood on their mouths, and so did Qiuwen's neck. There was a big hole in the wall of the Hall of Patriarchs. Seeing that Lu Fenghua and the others were here, Qiuwen began to complain. He pointed to Lu Li and said, "Second Patriarch, Lu Li wants to kill me. He almost killed me just now." "Kill you?" Lu Fenghua, Lu Yintian, and the others looked at each other, speechless. Lu Li, a warrior of the Soul Pond realm, almost killed Qiuwen, who was at the later stage of the Noble Lord realm. Was this not bullshit? Seeing that the situation was getting out of hand, Patriarch tried to smooth things over. "Lu Li, what are you shouting about? You did it without saying anything. Do you have any respect for your elders? Make it clear, and we will decide who is right or wrong." There is nothing to say. Lu Li was as stubborn as a bull. He shouted, "I want to see my grandpa. You get my grandpa here. I believe my grandpa will kill this bastard as well." Bastard? Lu Fenghua glanced over and seemed to have figured something out. He shouted coldly, "Lu Li, I have said it. Our family patriarch is in closed-door cultivation. If he doesn't come out himself, nobody can see him. How dare you fight in the Hall of Patriarchs? How dare you talk back to a patriarch? You are defying the rules of the Lu family. Someone put Lu Li in jail and wait for the Hall of Patriarchs to convict him." Many warriors swarmed in. Yu Huashan was in a panic. Lu Li might not die if he was caught, but he might not. Who dares to do it? Lu Li glanced over to the group of warriors coldly, intimidating them. Then he stretched his arms back, took a deep breath, and bellowed towards the lake. "Lu Li, I beg you, Great Patriarch, to uphold justice. If there is no justice for the Lu family, then from today on, I will no longer be a disciple of the Lu family." Lu Li had used his Dragon Roar skill that he hadn't used for a long time. The Dragon Roar skill was so powerful that it could be compared to thunder. Space was trembling. Everyone in the Mystic Armor City might have heard it. Some disciples of the Lu family outside the Hall of Patriarchs were not powerful. Even their eardrums were bleeding. They rolled around on the ground and screamed in pain. Swish, 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 the patriarch's expressions changed. They had thought that Lu Li and Lu Renhuang were completely different in character. Lu Renhuang was aggressive while Lu Li was more gentle. But now, Lu Li was crazier than Lu Renhuang. When he was angry, he would not care about anything. He was a devil of misfortune. P.S. Students, please vote for me after you finish reading it every day. Thank you. Chapter 357. Lu Li's roar did spread to the entire city. The entire Mystic Armor City was in chaos. Many black dots were flying towards the Mystic Armor Mountain. Those were the external clan patriarchs of the Lu family. Since they were not disciples of the Lu family, they were not qualified to live at the Mystic Armor Mountain. Lu Li's dragon roar was so powerful that it was still echoing in the city. Luckily, the average civilians of the Mystic Armor City had seen the world. If they were civilians of a county, they would be scared. Lu Fenghua flew into a rage. A surge of horrifying qi and energy came out from his body and suppressed Lu Li and Yu Huashan. He looked at the warriors in rage and said, "What are you waiting for? Take them down and put them in jail." A group of warriors swarmed over. Two of them had dark red chains in their hands. They tied Lu Li and Yu Huashan up like meat dumplings. The dark red chains seemed to have some kind of magic power. When people were tied up by the chains, they couldn't use their Xian energy. Yu Huashan was the same. The lake was quiet. Great Patriarch didn't come out. Lu Li's heart was weighed down. He was getting more and more furious. Today, he made a scene at the Mystic Armor Mountain. He was impulsive, but he didn't lose his mind. He had considered all of this and wasn't acting blindly and recklessly. He wanted to seek justice for Lu Feishue. Her husband was the young master of the Palace of Gods. The Palace of Gods was one of the 3 seventh-rank forces under the control of the Lu family. Lu Feishue's marriage was like water that was poured out. Family interests were more important than anything else. The patriarchs of the Lu family would not do anything to Qiu Wenze for Lu Feishue. Therefore, he had to make a scene as big as possible to alarm the great patriarch. If his grandpa could come out, then it would be perfect. Unfortunately, it seemed that his grandpa could not come out. Great Patriarch didn't say anything either. It was impossible that Great Patriarch didn't hear his dragon roar. Could it be that Great Patriarch didn't want to do anything? Or was Great Patriarch on Lu Fenghua's side? Qiu Wenze had been disgraced. Now that Lu Li was taken down, Qiu Wenze coldly said, "Patriarchs, Lu Li almost killed me just now. I hope you can give us a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, how can we trust the Lu family in the future?" Qiu Wenze's words were very serious. If the Lu family didn't give a reasonable explanation, the people of the Heavenly God Manor would be disappointed. Lu Fenghua nodded and said, "Wenze, don't worry. We will look into this and give you a satisfactory answer." "That's good." Qiu Wenze looked at Lu Li gloomily and coldly and said, "You are such a brutal man. Your hands have become beast claws, and you have the qi and energy of a Xian beast. You are neither a human nor a beast. How could he be the son of the human emperor? I think he is an evil demon. I suggest that we kill him immediately." "Oh." The patriarch's eyes flickered. Lu Li did not look like a normal human being, especially that beast claw of his. There were pieces of silver scales on it, and his eyes were even suffused with silver light. There was an indescribable aura circulating around his body, and he indeed looked like a humanoid monster. "Ha ha ha." Lu Li laughed in self-mockery. The more he looked at Qiu Wenze, the more he disliked him. Lu Li could tell many things from Qiu Wenze's cold eyes and his modest manner. This Qiu Wenze was a beast in human form. He must be a pervert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tortured Lu Feishue. Lu Li's eyes grew colder when he thought of the crisscrossed whip marks on Lu Feishue's body. He grinned and said, "Qiu Wenze, young Master Qiu, you want to kill me? I'm tied up now. You didn't have the guts just now. You can come and kill me now. But I don't think you have the courage to even come close to me." Qiu Wenze was furious. He had been disgraced today. Soon, the news would be spread out. From now on, it would be hard for him to hold his head up high at the eastern central plains. Lu Li provoked Qiu Wenze with words again. He couldn't stand it anymore. He dashed toward Lu Li and was about to slap him. Just now, he didn't dare to move. Now that Lu Li was tied up, Qiu Wenze knew very well about the dark red iron chains. They were called demon trapping chains. Warriors below the human sovereign realm could be restrained and their Xian energy would be suppressed. Xian energy was the foundation of a warrior. If he couldn't use his Xian energy, his abilities would be suppressed. Qiu, Patriarch 8, Patriarch 4, and Patriarch 5 frowned. Patriarch 4 wanted to say something, but he held himself back. Qiu Wenze didn't kill Lu Li. He just wanted to make Lu Li suffer and vent his anger. It was understandable. Little White. Right at that moment, Lu Li shouted. A small beast came out from Lu Li's sleeve and bit at the dark red iron chain. The huge iron chain was bitten into pieces in just a few bites. Lu Li's body flashed with mystic force, and several clones appeared in a flash. His beast claw suddenly clawed at Qiu Wenze's hand. Qiu Wenze's hand was close to Lu Li. Lu Li had generated more than a dozen clones, and Qiu Wenze couldn't tell which one was which. Lu Li's beast claw landed on Qiu Wenze's arm. Chiowin's hand was crushed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Luli moved on, trying to crush all of Chiowin's hands and then kill him. Buzzing. All the patriarchs were frightened. Almost at the same time, they released force field. Lu Fenghua rushed over like a sharp sword. Nobody expected that Luli could still make moves when he was tied up by the demon-trapping chains. What was more, Luli and Chiowin's were too close to each other, and Little White was too fast to bite off the demon-trapping chains. If they weren't at the human sovereign realm, Chiowin's would have been killed by Luli. Luli couldn't move when force field was released. He only managed to crush half of Chiowin's arm. Given the time for one more breath, Luli believed that he could crush Chiowin's heart. Whoosh! Lu Fenghua rushed over in rage. He smashed at Lu Li's face with his hand. The Xian energy on his hand was glistening. It was so fast that there was a shrill sound in the air. Clearly, this palm was full of strength. If Luli was hit, his head would be broken and he would bleed. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 were worried. Patriarch 4 shouted, "Brother, please show mercy." Hearing Patriarch 4's words, Lu Fenghua paused for a bit. He took back some strength, but he still smashed at Lu Li's face. Bang! Lu Li was smashed away with blood spitting out from his mouth. 2 warriors behind him were smashed away as well. Lu Li rolled over for more than a dozen times before he smashed into the wall of the Hall of Patriarchs. Boom! There was a big hole in the wall, which startled the onlookers. Many people looked at Lu Li, whose face was covered in blood, and Chiowin's, who was screaming like a pig being slaughtered. Their mouths twitched, and their faces were filled with shock. This young man was too fierce. He almost killed Chiowin's, just now. Now he was tied up by the demon-trapping chains. How could he break free and almost kill Chiowin's again in front of so many patriarchs? A warrior of the Soul Pond realm almost killed a warrior of the Noble Lord realm twice. Even if Chiowin's was a good-for-nothing, he was still a warrior of the Noble Lord realm. Lu Renhuang's son was really fierce. Like father, like son. How dare you? Chapter 358. The Omen Island. Many of the elders' expressions changed, and the Lu clan's clansmen outside were filled with fear. The Omen Island was a dangerous place at the east of the Central Plains. It was the place where the sinners of the Lu family were exiled. Usually, only 1 out of 10 people could come out, and that one might have lost his mind, exiled for 100 years. That was a death sentence for Lu Li. The patriarchs said nothing. Lu Yintian thought about it, and added, "If Lu Li is the son of a human sovereign realm warrior, then he would have the guts to kill his own uncle-in-law. He is a wicked man and cannot be pardoned. If he is not the son of a human sovereign realm warrior, his crime today is enough for him to be exiled to the Omen Island for 100 years. I agree." Patriarch 8 looked at Lu Li with mixed feelings and said with disappointment, "Lu Li, do you have anything to say?" Lu Li had been gentle and steady. Clearly, he had been stimulated by something today. That was why he had gone crazy. If he wanted to be convicted, he should at least get to the bottom of the matter. Lu Li was taken down again. Half of his face was covered in blood, and he was pressed to the ground on one knee. Hearing Patriarch 8's words, Lu Li raised his head and looked at Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian through the hole in the wall. He grinned and said, "Second Patriarch, Third Patriarch, you're my uncles, right? Do you want your nephew to die that badly? The Lu family is not helping the Lu family, and you are helping this bastard? Aren't you afraid that the other disciples of the Lu family will be bitterly disappointed?" Before Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian could reply, Lu Li looked at Patriarch 8 and said, "Patriarch 8, what do you want me to say? Why do I want to kill Chiowin's? Do I look like a mad dog, biting people for no reason? If it were not for the fact that you patriarchs did nothing, would I, a warrior of the Soul Pond realm, have to do this? My aunt was beaten black and blue by this bastard. She was bullied and tortured by him. Do you have the guts to say that you don't know? The women of the Lu family are bullied by outsiders, and all the men of the Lu family are dead. My grandpa is in closed-door cultivation. My father is not here, and you don't have anyone to take care of my aunt? Fine, if you don't want to, I will. As long as I survive this, I will kill Chiowin's. His sonorous words were deafening. Blood was still dripping from Lu Li's face. He stared at Xiao Wenze with his silver eyes. Lu Li was like a restrained beast, struggling and roaring to kill his natural enemy. The warriors were silent. They didn't even hold on to Lu Li as tightly as before. The disciples of the Lu clan nearby fell silent. Many of them even stared at Xiao Wenze with bloodshot eyes. The patriarchs were silent as well. Lu Finghua and Lu Yintian wanted to say something, but didn't. The whole place was dead silent. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Are all the men of the Lu family dead? This sentence was like a sharp thorn that pierced through everyone's hearts, causing many of the elders' faces to feel a little hot. As one of the 12 royal families, the Lu family had their own pride. They were a family that stood at the pinnacle of the Central Plains. Now that the clan king's daughter was being bullied by outsiders, they wanted a junior who had just returned to the clan to stand up for her. How could these old fellows endure this? There were also many young masters and ladies of the Lu family outside. They were all clenching their fists in anger. The Lu family had been sealed off for 10 years, but the courage of the Lu family disciples was still there. Many young masters began to show signs of killing intent. They stared at Xiao Wenze with murderous intent. Lu Li's words had ignited the passion in their hearts. Maybe they were trying to tell Lu Li in a silent way that the men of the Lu family were not dead and the courage of the Lu family was still there. Xiao Wenze had been screaming. Even though he was treated by a patriarch, he was still in pain. At this moment, he also felt something was wrong. His screams were dying down. Seeing many warriors of the Lu family were staring at him with killing intent, Xiao Wenze panicked. He said in a panic, "Nonsense, nonsense. How can I mistreat Fei Xue? I didn't. There must be some misunderstanding. I was drunk last night. I don't remember anything." Xiao Wenze's panic and the words drunk made many warriors more furious. The idiot Xiao Wenze had indirectly admitted that he had mistreated Lu Fei Xue. Lu Finghua sensed something was wrong. He waved his hand and finally said, "Okay, Lu Li, no matter how you look at it, this is all your fault. Xiao Wenze and Fei Xue quarrel with each other, and that is their business. Even if you feel sorry for her, you shouldn't have resorted to violence. He even killed 2 people in front of us. If we don't punish you, what are the rules of the Lu family? What about the dignity of the Hall of Patriarchs?" Lu Fenghua's words silenced everyone. None of the patriarchs went along with Lu Fenghua, and nobody argued back. More than 1,000 people had gathered outside. All of them lowered their heads in silence. Clearly, Lu Yintian was on the same side as Lu Fenghua. He felt embarrassed, so he added, "Since this is a trial, then let's vote. Patriarchs, what do you think?" Patriarch 10, Lu Tianhe, second patriarch and third patriarch were clearly on the same side. He made up his mind and said, "I second it." Of the 9 patriarchs, 3 had agreed. If 1 or 2 more patriarchs were to agree, then Lu Li's exile to the Omen Island would be confirmed. Once the decision was made by the Hall of Patriarchs, it could not be changed. A young master about the same age as Lu Li suddenly made up his mind. He dropped to one knee and shouted, "Lu Li has just returned to the family, and he doesn't know the rules. Please forgive him, Hall of Patriarchs." This young master was wearing a gorgeous robe and had an impressive appearance. He was young, but he had reached the peak of the eternal realm. Clearly, he was a young master with a high status in the Lu family. His shout made many young masters angry as well. They dropped to one knee and shouted together, "Please forgive him, Hall of Patriarchs." Swish, 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 groups of people knelt down. Even many young ladies knelt down on one knee and shouted in a tender voice. They knew very well that Lu Li was standing up for the women of the Lu family. If they didn't say anything, who would stand up for them when they were bullied in the future? There were more than 1,000 people outside, and more than half of them were young disciples. More than half of them dropped to their knees and shouted in excitement. Lu Fenghua was enraged. He stared at the young master at the front and shouted, "Lu Lin, what are you doing? Get lost." The young master in a luxurious robe looked up at Lu Fenghua stubbornly and said, "Second uncle, the men of the Lu family, are not all dead yet. If you want to convict me, I, Lu Lin, am willing to share the punishment with Lu Li." Lu Lin's words caused a riot among the young masters of the Lu family. All of them shouted, "We are willing to share the punishment with Lu Li. Are you rebelling? Take them all down." Lu Fenghua was enraged. He looked to the escorts, but they didn't move. A team leader knelt down and said, "Please forgive Lu Li, Hall of Patriarchs. Please forgive him, Hall of Patriarchs." As soon as the team leader knelt down, many others followed suit. All the patriarchs were dumbfounded. They were tongue-tied and speechless. The situation was getting out of control. The escorts that grabbed Lu Li all knelt down. Lu Li wasn't held down anymore. He turned around and looked at the group of people on their knees behind him and grinned. This was the Lu family in his heart, the Lu family of the 12 royal families. The Lu family could stand at the peak of the Central Plains not just because of the King Kong bloodline. Whoosh, with a slight noise, an old man with white hair and eyebrows in a black robe appeared out of nowhere in the yard of the Hall of Patriarchs. The old man's white hair and eyebrows reached the ground. His eyes were profound, as if there was a world in them. "Greetings, fifth great uncle." Lu Fenghua and the others bowed at once. The other patriarchs bowed as well and said, "Greetings, great patriarch." When the people outside saw the old man, they all knelt down and shouted, "Greetings, great patriarch." Chapter 359. Great Patriarch showed no emotion. He looked at Xiao Wenze and then Lu Fenghua and the others. In the end, he looked at Lu Li, who stood out from the crowd. Great Patriarch had mixed feelings. He looked at Lu Lin and the others on their knees, waved his hand and said, "Leave now. I will take care of things here." Lu Lin and the others raised their heads and took a glance at the Supreme Elder. In the end, they didn't say anything and turned to leave. This Grand Elder's prestige in the family was too high, and no one dared to disobey his will. The escorts and onlookers all left. Only Lu Li, the patriarchs, Xiao Wenze, and Yu Huashen were left in the Hall of Patriarchs. Great Patriarch looked at Xiao Wenze and said, "Tianming, send Xiao Wenze back to the Palace of Gods. Tell Xiao Wansheng that the engagement between Fei Xue and Xiao Wenze is off. Tell him to discipline his son." Lu Fenghua and the others were shocked. They were about to say something when Great Patriarch waved his hand and said, "That is it. I have made up my mind." Patriarch 5 nodded. He flew up with Xiao Wenze and flew out of the mystic armor mountain. Soon, they disappeared from sight. Great Patriarch looked at Lu Fenghua and Lu Liantian. He said after some thoughts, "Fenghua, Liantian, remember this. Do not disappoint the disciples of the Lu family no matter what. The Lu family can stand at the Central Plains for 1,000,000 years, not because of the King Kong bloodline, but because of the unity and cohesiveness of our disciples. I will let this go. I will punish Lu Li." Whoosh. With that said, Great Patriarch grabbed Lu Li and disappeared from the Hall of Patriarchs. The other patriarchs looked at each other with mixed feelings. "I'm getting old and confused," Patriarch 8 sighed. He had calmed down completely. He was so angry just now. If he had been calm and controlled the situation, things wouldn't have gotten so out of hand. The 8th Elder understood the Grand Elder's way of dealing with this matter. Lu Li could almost kill Xiao Wenze, who was at the Noble Lord realm twice, when he was only at the Soul Pond realm. That alone was enough for Great Patriarch to forgive him. Lu Renhuang was a genius, and his son was even more so. Even though Xiao Wenze was a good-for-nothing, he was still at the Noble Lord realm. He was almost killed by Lu Li twice. There was no doubt about Lu Li's talent. For a family, a talented disciple was more important than anything else. Those who did not know the rules could be taught slowly, and those who were young and frivolous could be understood, but not everyone could have abnormal talent. Being grabbed by Great Patriarch, Lu Li felt his vision blur, and then he was outside the gate of the castle on the water. Great Patriarch waved his hand, and the gate opened quietly. He walked in with Lu Li. The interior was not as luxurious as he had imagined. On the contrary, it was very simple. As soon as he entered, he saw a large hall with a few square tables. On one of the tables was a pot of hot tea. After coming in, Great Patriarch put Luli down. He went straight to the cattail hassock behind the square table and sat down with his legs crossed. After pouring himself a cup of tea, he looked at Luli and said, "Take care of your wounds first. You are just as hot-tempered as your father." Luli took out a towel to wipe off the blood in silence and deactivated the blood claw skill. He changed into a clean robe, took a healing pellet, and hid Little White in his sleeve. With that done, Luli sat down in front of Great Patriarch, poured himself a cup of tea, rinsed his mouth, and drank without hesitation. He didn't even look at Great Patriarch. Ha ha! Great Patriarch was amused by Luli's behavior. He squinted at Luli and said, "What? Are you angry at me? Punk, even your grandpa has to call me fifth uncle. Don't you know how to respect your elders?" Luli glanced at Great Patriarch and said, "You are not a good person either. You won't come out unless things get out of hand. Don't you know anything about my aunt?" Ha ha ha. Great Patriarch laughed instead of getting angry. He shook his head and said, "You are wrong about this. I have not bothered myself with the trivial matters of the family for many years. Even if you killed Xiaowenza, it is not a big deal for me." "What's the big deal?" Luli thought about it and agreed. Great Patriarch was so powerful that even the destruction of the Palace of Gods would not be a big deal for him. Now that the old man had come out and publicly announced that he had annulled the engagement between Xiaowenza and Lu Feishue, Luli was less angry. Taking a sip of tea, Luli nodded and said, "Okay, let's put this behind us. Great Patriarch, I want to ask, where's my grandpa? Is he dead or alive?" Great Patriarch's expressions darkened. He lowered his head and said after a while, "You are too weak. I cannot tell you now. You have the right to know when you reach the human sovereign realm. But I can tell you one thing. Your grandpa is alive." "That's good," Luli sighed. As long as he was alive, he would see him sooner or later. Luli didn't ask any more questions. Great Patriarch began, "Punk, why didn't you awaken the King Kong bloodline? Where did you get your beast claw? How come I feel it is like a bloodline skill? And what about that roar of yours? What is the rank of that beast?" This old man is so observant. Luli exclaimed to himself, but he didn't want to tell Great Patriarch the truth. Patriarch 8 said that Great Patriarch was absolutely loyal to the family and his grandpa. But what Patriarch 8 did just now had pissed Luli off. Naturally, Luli could not trust this Great Patriarch completely. Luli randomly said, "I don't know why I cannot awaken the King Kong bloodline. I went to the temple and failed. As for the beast claw and the roar, they're just skills I got from a relic. For you, they're just small tricks, not worth mentioning. What about that doppelganger divine skill?" The great elder said with a smile, "Is it also small and insignificant? How come I feel there is a profound meaning in it?" Luli didn't want to hide this. He frankly said, "There is a profound meaning in it. It is the mirror image profound meaning. I picked it up accidentally." Accidentally. Even Great Patriarch was speechless. He didn't want to ask more since Luli didn't want to say. He squinted his eyes and looked at Luli for a while. He exclaimed, "You are so lucky. Too bad you didn't awaken the King Kong bloodline." After a pause, Great Patriarch asked again, "Where is your father? You really don't know?" Luli already had something to hide, so he wouldn't say it now. He asked back, "If I knew where my father was, why would I come back alone? I almost died on the way. My sister was taken to the Siam Plains. Do you think if my father was with us, my sister and I would be in such a miserable state? I am still at the Soul Pond realm." Alas, Great Patriarch sighed, shook his head, and said, "Your father's temperament is similar to yours. You are both stubborn. If he didn't run away from home, your grandpa wouldn't be in trouble. Your grandfather would have been fine, and the Lu family wouldn't have fallen to such a state. What happened?" Luli frowned and asked in a hurry, "What happened to my grandpa?" I said, "I cannot tell you." Chapter 360. The news of Lu Li making a scene at the Hall of Patriarchs spread across the Mystic Armor Mountain and then the Mystic Armor City. The entire Mystic Armor City was bustling. It had been a long time since something so exciting had happened. What was more, even Great Patriarch was alerted. The cause was that Lu Feishue was bullied and Lu Li, as her nephew, stood up for her. He almost killed Qiu Wenze twice in front of the patriarchs, a young man at the Soul Pond realm, the son of Lu Ren Huang and the grandson of the family patriarch of the Lu family. Naturally, this would cause a sensation. Many people didn't know about Lu Li's identity before. After this incident, they all knew. Also, many people were sure that Lu Li was Lu Ren Huang's son. If he were not the son of Lu Ren Huang, why would Lu Li stand up for Lu Feishue? How could the Grand Supreme Elder allow the Fourth Elder to send Qiu Wenze back and even cancel the engagement between them? Breaking off the engagement would be like slapping the Heavenly God Manor in the face. It might even incur the wrath of the Heavenly God Manor's Manor Master, Qiu Wancheng. At that time, it would not be a good thing for the Lu family if the God of Heaven Manor was not on their side. Great Patriarch said he would punish Lu Li, but he didn't say anything else. Lu Li was taken to the castle in the middle of the lake. After a while, he was sent back to the Dragon's Pavilion. There was no announcement from the family. Clearly, Great Patriarch had sided with Lu Li. This matter would be left unsettled, whatever the truth. Lu Li had become famous at the Mystic Armor City and at the Lu family. As the grandson of the family patriarch of the Lu family, Lu Li had become the idol of many young masters and young ladies of the Lu family. Yu Huashen was released. Since Lu Li didn't want to punish him, Yu Huashen, a slave, had to listen to Lu Li's orders. Punishing him would be pointless. Instead, it would enrage Lu Li again. Lu Li went back to the Dragon's Pavilion. Lu Feishue had been informed, and she was crying her eyes out. Seeing that Lu Li was back in one piece, she ran over and hugged Lu Li, sobbing again. "All right, Aunt, your engagement with Qiu Wenze has been dissolved. As long as I'm still alive, no one can bully you." Lu Li patted Lu Feishue's shoulder to comfort her. She nodded but could not say anything. He took Lu Feishue in and comforted her for a moment. After she calmed down, Lu Li asked why Qiu Wenze dared to torture her. Lu Feishue was the daughter of the Lu family patriarch. How could Qiu Wenze, a young master of an affiliated force, be so bold? Even if something happened to his grandfather, he wasn't dead, right? His father had gone to the northern desert. He would come back one day. Lu Feishue hesitated for a while before she told Lu Li the truth. Lu Li learned something about what happened back then. 20 years ago, Lu Ren Huang and Lu Li's grandpa left home out of anger. Back then, Lu Feishue was only a teenager. Lu Li's grandpa was enraged. He went into closed-door cultivation and told nobody in the family to look for Lu Ren Huang. Lu Li's grandma was so angry that she fell ill. 5 years after Lu Ren Huang's disappearance, she passed away. No one cared about Lu Feishue anymore. She became arrogant and rebellious, often causing trouble. Since Lu Li's grandpa was in closed-door cultivation, the family members didn't dare to do anything. The patriarchs were cleaning up for her, but at the same time, they were getting more and more disappointed with her. Later on, Lu Feishue fell in love with a young master, not from the eastern Central Plains, but from a small family in the Central Plains. Her father was in closed-door cultivation, her mother died of illness, and her brother was missing. Lu Feishue was rebellious and arrogant. She couldn't stop after she fell in love with this young master. She and the young master became a couple. The entire eastern Central Plains was in an uproar. When the family learned about it, they wouldn't agree. Lu Feishue was of high status. She was the daughter of the family patriarch of the 12 royal families. How could she marry a young master from a small family? Not from a family at the eastern Central Plains. Lu family had many enemies. What if this young master was a spy? As a result, Lu Feishue experienced the same tragedy that happened to Jiang Qiling. Lu Feishue reported to Lu Li's grandpa, Lu Zhengyang. Lu Zhengyang ordered in person that Lu Feishue should be locked up for 3 years and then married to Qiu Wenze. Lu Feishue didn't give up after being locked up for 3 years. On the day of her marriage, she ran away to look for that young master from a small family. However, that small family disappeared. Lu family sent someone to threaten the small family. The small family moved away, and their whereabouts were unknown. Lu Feishue was taken back and sent to the Palace of Gods. Lu Feishue had accepted her fate. Xiao Wenze, on the other hand, had become the laughing stock of the eastern Central Plains. Naturally, Xiao Wenze was unhappy. He felt he had been cheated on. In the first few years, things were fine. But after something happened to Lu Li's grandpa, Lu Zhengyang, Xiao Wenze began to get drunk and torture Lu Feishue. Lu Feishue did complain to the family, but the patriarchs of the Lu family could not interfere. The most they could do was to send someone to the Palace of Gods to talk about it. Every time, Xiao Wenze would restrain himself, and after a while, he would start again. Her father was in trouble, her brother was missing, and her mother was dead. The patriarchs didn't care. Lu Feishue had accepted her fate. Over the years, she had been tortured to death. Gradually, she became resigned to adversity. If it were not for her father and grandpa, she would have committed suicide a long time ago. This was a sad story. Many young ladies of major families could not make their own decisions about their marriages. Luli knew this very well. There was no right or wrong in this. Of course, Luli chose to side with the family. He would not let anyone bully his only aunt. Okay, aunt, your engagement is over. You don't have to go back and suffer anymore. You can live with me. Who in the Lu family dares to disrespect you? I will stand up for you. Looking at Lu Feishue, who was in tears, Luli sighed and patted her on the shoulder. Then he handed her some healing pellets and asked, Aunt, what happened to Grandpa? Lu Feishue had taken the healing pellets, but she was not fully recovered. She shook her head and said, I don't know. Nobody told me. Only the patriarchs have the right to know. But I heard some rumors that 10 years ago, my father went to the voodoo land of the south to look for my brother. He was badly injured. He went back to closed-door cultivation and never came out for 10 years. Because of that, the city of Mystic Armor was sealed off. Badly injured? Lu Li frowned. He remembered how Great Patriarch talked about his grandpa and how the other patriarchs avoided talking about it. Lu Li felt his heart was weighed down. His grandpa must have been badly injured, or else the Lu family wouldn't have sealed off the city. Lu Li could accept that the Lu family sealed off the city and blocked the information. The family patriarch was badly injured, so the family should seal off the city and keep a low profile. No information could be leaked out, or they would be attacked by their enemies. Lu Li thought about it for a while. Suddenly, he turned to Yu Huaxin and Ming Yu and said, Try to sense if anyone is nearby. Ming Yu and Yu Huaxin closed their eyes and tried to sense. After a while, they nodded. Lu Li asked in a low voice, Aunt, who do you think I can trust in the family? What I'm trying to say is, can Grand Elder trust someone he can trust absolutely? The only person Lu Li could trust in the family was Lu Feishue. If Lu Feishue said that Great Patriarch was trustworthy, Lu Li would tell her the whereabouts of Lu Renhuang. As long as Great Patriarch took action, Lu Renhuang could be saved from the ice abyss. Lu Feishue was surprised. Why did Lu Li ask this? Seeing how serious Lu Li was, she thought about it. After a while, she shook her head and said, I think nobody can be trusted, including the two great patriarchs. The two great patriarchs? Chapter 361. Yes, two great patriarchs. Lu Feishue looked at Lu Li in confusion and asked, Nobody told you about this? The great patriarch you just saw is our great-grandmaster. Even Grandpa has to call him Uncle Five. The other great patriarch is not in the family. He has been away for more than a year. He is of the same generation as Grandpa, and he is Grandpa's big brother. We call him Uncle Five. Oh, I see. Lu Li nodded and asked, What about Chief Patriarch? I have never seen him before. He is cultivating, Lu Feishue explained. He has been cultivating for several years. I think he is trying to reach the Earth Immortal Realm. He has reached the peak of the human sovereign realm a long time ago. He must be trying to reach this realm for such a long time. Earth Immortal Realm? Lu Li was surprised. He remembered that patriarch was called Lu Dixian. His father was called Lu Renhuang. The names of the seniors in the family were too hasty. Was there someone called Lu Junho, Lu Bummy, or Lu Fatewheel? Lu Li finally understood the realm above the human sovereign realm. He asked, Annie, is the realm above the human sovereign realm called the Earth Immortal Realm? Lu Feishua nodded and said, yes, Marquis is a lord of a region. Human sovereign realm is the sovereign of humans. Above human sovereign realm is Earth Immortal, the Earth Immortal Realm. The two great patriarchs and my father are all at the Earth Immortal Realm. Only a family with 3 Earth Immortal Realm warriors can be considered an 8th rank family. Maybe because of my father's accident, we don't have 3 Earth Immortal Realm warriors. That is why we were sealed off. I see. Lu Li understood. He had been wondering what realm an 8th rank family should have. Now he knew that there were Earth Immortal Realm warriors above the human sovereign realm and Earth Immortal Realm warriors. How impressive. After a pause, Lu Li asked, Auntie, you said that nobody can be trusted. Why is that? Is there nobody loyal to Grandpa? You never know what is in a person's heart. Lu Feishua looked outside. Lu Li waved his hand to let Mingyu and Yu Huashan go out to be on guard. Lu Feishua said, if your grandpa is okay, many people in the family will be loyal to him. But now, 10 years have passed. I'm afraid that people have changed. Lu Li, you may not understand. Big families are always united to the outside, but there is internal strife. The elders of the family will not consider anything from the perspective of kinship. The first thing they consider is the interests of the family. Right now, the Lu clan is no longer controlled by our branch, but by your first grandfather's branch. The first elder, second elder, and third elder are all your first grandfather's sons, so you should be able to feel their attitude towards you. The rest of the elders, including the Grand Supreme Elder and the 5th great-grandfather, will take the interests of the whole Lu family into consideration. They will definitely stand on the side of the first branch when it comes to important matters. Because at this moment, First Grandpa's bloodline represents the Lu clan and, naturally, the Lu clan's interests. If your grandfather is safe, then everything will change. It's because your grandfather's battle prowess is extremely terrifying. He's even stronger than Great-Grandfather 5. It's a pity. I don't know what's going on with him right now. With that said, Lu Feishua grew gloomy again. Lu Li sighed. If his grandpa could wake up, he wouldn't have to go to the other patriarchs. He directly asked his grandfather to rescue his parents. What Lu Feishua said made sense. Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian did treat him badly. He could understand why. In the old days, his grandpa was in charge of the Lu family. Now that his grandpa was in trouble, it was his first grandpa's turn to take over. This was evident from the fact that his 3 uncles had become the chief patriarch, second patriarch, and third patriarch. In the Hall of Patriarchs, Lu Fenghua clearly had great power. When he spoke, the other patriarchs dared not to contradict him. Lu Li could vaguely understand why nobody from the Lu family went to the northern desert to look for Lu Renhuang for so many years. What was the purpose of asking Lu Renhuang to come back? To inherit the position of family patriarch? Or to suppress First Grandpa's bloodline? It was not easy for First Grandpa's bloodline to come power. Naturally, First Grandpa would not want the power to fall back to Lu Li's bloodline. Therefore, after Lu Li came back, he was questioned by all kinds of people. Some even wanted to kill him. Until now, Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian had not publicly admitted that Lu Li was Lu Renhuang's son. It is true that nobody can be trusted. Lu Li made up his mind. People could change. Now, the first branch represented the Lu family and the interests of the Lu clan. What if the rest of the patriarchs who were neutral or those close to his grandpa had secretly sided with the first branch? For example, Lu Li was disappointed by what Patriarch 8 did today. Great Patriarch seemed to be nice to him, but he could not trust him completely. Those old guys had lived for such a long time. Who could tell what they were thinking? Of course, there should be someone who was absolutely loyal to his grandpa. But Lu Li and Lu Feishua didn't know, and they couldn't believe it. Was it true that Patriarch 8 was loyal when he said he was? What if nobody could be trusted, what was the point of him coming back to the Lu family? He came back to ask for help from the Lu family to save Lu Renwang. Even human sovereign realm warriors could hardly come out from the ice abyss. Who else could he ask for help other than the powerful warriors of the Lu family? There must be very few Earth immortal realm warriors in the world. Even if he was lucky enough to know some, they might not help him. Even if they did, he wouldn't trust an outsider completely. He seemed to have come to a dead end. The situation of the Lu family was unclear. If he told the Lu family about Lu Renhuang, his parents might be harmed. But if he didn't tell them, there was nothing he could do. Could he just watch his parents suffer in the ice abyss? After much consideration, Lu Li decided to wait. For one thing, he had to wait for his grandpa to come out and for Lu Ling to come back. Lu Ling was so smart that Lu Li felt he was a fool compared to her. Patriarch 4 had sent Mo Yi and warriors of the Palace of Blue Lions to the Siam Plains. In a couple of months, they would be able to get Lu Ling back. It had been more than a dozen years. A couple of months wouldn't make a difference. It just so happened that he had plenty of blood essence in his body. A couple of months was enough for him to absorb all the blood essence. He would see if he could reach the Fate Wheel realm and give Lu Ling a surprise when she came back. Lu Li put his mind at ease after he made up his mind. He looked at Lu Feishue and asked, "Auntie, why don't you try to reach the Noble Lord realm?" "No mystical materials," Lu Feishue said bitterly. "After I married into the Palace of Gods, the Chiu family didn't give me any mystical materials. I am too embarrassed to ask the Lu family for them. After all, I'm a member of the Chiu family." "Okay, don't worry and stay here." Lu Li nodded and said, "I will ask the family for some mystical materials to help you reach the Noble Lord realm." "Annie, don't worry. Great Patriarch said that I can ask Fourth Uncle for any mystical materials I need. I don't think the family will make things difficult for me now." Lu Li had just made a scene. The Patriarchs were afraid of him now. They didn't dare to offend him on some trivial matters. They were afraid that if he continued to make a scene, it would be the Lu family that would be disgraced. Lu Li stood up and walked out on this thought. At the gate of the Dragon's Pavilion, he said to the warriors guarding outside, "Go and report to the supervisor. Arrange a courtyard for me and Auntie, a luxurious one. Also, arrange for some good maids and cooks. Give us the best daily necessities. The Dragon's Pavilion is for guests. I, Lu Li, am a disciple of the Lu family. Am I a guest in your eyes?" The expressions of the soldiers became strange. Wasn't this young master too arrogant? The living arrangements for disciples of the family were made by their superiors. This was the first time that they had heard of such a request. Patriarch 8 was still angry. If he heard what Lu Li said, he would fly into a rage. Seeing that the warriors didn't move, Lu Li said angrily, "What? Why, I said didn't work. Do I have to go to the Hall of Patriarchs in person?" Chapter 362. Lu Li and Lu Feishue moved soon. Patriarch 8 would not make things difficult for Lu Li. The escorts were afraid that Lu Li would make a scene, and so was Patriarch 8. Patriarch 8 would find a way to get Lu Li even if he wanted several, not to mention just one house. The new house was at the north of the Mystic Armor Mountain, where disciples of the immediate Lu family lived. It was not far from Patriarch 8's mansion. The new house was called the Rising Dragon Pavilion, where Lu Renhuang lived. The yard was spacious and magnificent. Lu Renhuang had left home, but the position of future family patriarch was still there. Therefore, the house had been empty. Patriarch 8 gave Lu Li 4 maids, 4 cooks, and 2 servants. All kinds of daily necessities were of the best quality. The Lu family was rich, so these things were nothing. Lu Li had settled down. He was not in the mood to make a scene. As a matter of fact, he didn't like it. He didn't even go to visit a senior. He cultivated and recuperated in the yard every day. His soul was not fully recovered. There were many blood essences in his body. It would take some time for him to absorb them. Also, he had to wait for Lu Zhengyang to wake up and Lu Ling to come back. Lu Feishue settled down. The engagement was not a good thing for a young lady of a big family. But Lu Feishue didn't mind. She had a bad reputation. Even though she was not a slut, she was seen as a slut and a foppish young lady. Therefore, she didn't mind. She seemed to have lost all hope. She was numb to everything. She would read in the yard and daydream. Occasionally, she would chat with Lu Li. She would only smile when she saw Lu Li. Lu Li sensed this. He knew Lu Feishue well after hearing her story. She was at the rebellious stage. Without the discipline of her parents, her beloved brother left home. Naturally, she would become more rebellious and arrogant. Finally, she found the man she loved, but he was forced away by her family. She was married to a man she didn't like and was tortured every day. She would cry at home, but nobody would listen to her. At first, she was angry and resentful. Gradually, she became numb and resigned to adversity. She was no longer the old Lu Feishue. Lu Li felt sorry for his aunt. Just like Jiang Qiling, Lu Feishue was also the product of family rules. She was a poor girl. His father and his grandparents had an undeniable responsibility for her becoming like this. Therefore, he always did his closed-door training at night. During the day, he would chat with Lu Feishue, play chess, and so on. He wanted to help her walk out of the shadow of her previous life. On the 5th day after moving to the soaring dragon pavilion, Lu Li had reached the middle stage of the soul pond realm. The blood essence was of great help to his cultivation of the soul pond and Xian energy. With his company these days, Lu Feishue seemed to have some spiritual sustenance and regarded him as her own son. It was not that she had never been pregnant over the years, but she was broken by Qiu Wenze. Therefore, seeing Lu Li triggered the motherly love in her. She looked much better recently. On the 6th day, Lu Li had just chatted with Lu Feishue about some interesting things at the northern desert when Yu Huashan came in and reported, "Young master, a young master and a young lady have come to visit." That young master says his name is Lu Lin. Lu Lin? Lu Li remembered that dignified young master. He looked at Lu Feishue, who explained, "He is the son of your 4th uncle, Lu Dixian. He is one of the best among the young generation of the family. He is only 19, but he has reached the peak of the eternal realm." Impressive. Lu Li nodded to himself. That day, this young master begged for mercy for him and even talked back to Lu Fenghua in public. He left a deep impression on Lu Li. Lu Li waved his hand and said, "Yu Huashan, show them to the side chamber. I will be right there." Yu Huashan left. Lu Li said to Lu Feishue with a smile, "Auntie, take a break. I will go and meet them." "Sure, some of the kids in the family are nice." Lu Feishue nodded and walked to her room with a maid. The soaring dragon pavilion was spacious. There was a main hall, 3 side chambers, and more than a dozen rooms. It was like an imperial palace. Lu Li walked into a side chamber. As soon as he entered, he saw Lu Lin standing in the middle of the hall. Next to him stood a pretty lady in a red dress with a hot body. When the young lady saw Lu Li come in, she looked at him with a scorching and seductive gaze. Lu Lin was wearing a long white robe today. He had a stalwart figure, handsome looks, and sharp features. He wasn't feminine like Qiu Wenze and was very masculine. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "I'm Lu Lin, the son of Lu Dixian. Lu Li, we are cousins." Lu Lin's smile was amiable. He had an extraordinary temperament, which made people trust him. Lu Li bowed and said, "Nice to meet you, cousin." "Don't do that." Lu Lin rolled his eyes and said, "Lu Li, I think you are a man. How can you be so polite? We are brothers. Just be casual." Lu Li stood up and looked at the lady in the red dress. Lu Lin introduced, "This is Lu Hongyu, the youngest granddaughter of Patriarch 8. We all call her Sister Hongyu." "Ha!" The lady in the red dress floated over like a red cloud. She circled around Lu Li and said, "Brother Lu Li, you are so famous now. I was in closed-door cultivation, but I was alarmed. The son of our future family patriarch has turned the family upside down as soon as he came back. You really are like our future family patriarch. Peak of the eternal realm. Lu Hongyu should be about the same age as Lu Lin. They must be the best talents of the young generation of the Lu family." He watched as Lu Hongyu circled around him like a curious baby. Lu Li touched his nose but still nodded and said, Nice to meet you, Sister Hongyu. Huh, Lu Hongyu stuck her tongue out. With a charming smile, she patted Lu Li's shoulder and said, Brother, be a good boy. I'll take you to some good food later. Ah ha ha. Seeing Lu Li's embarrassment, Lu Lin laughed and said, Lu Li, you have to be careful of our Sister Hongyu. She cultivates the enchantment skill. Many disciples of big families in the city have lost their souls because of her. Don't fall for it. Lu Hongyu nodded. She echoed with her eyes wide open, Yes, Brother Lu Li, don't fall in love with me, or you'll be sad for the rest of your life. Lu Li grinned. It was not strange that Lu Hongyu would flirt with him. Even though they were both surnamed Lu, many families were separated by many generations. Therefore, intermarriage was allowed. Families within 3 generations of the same bloodline would be closer. Intermarriage would be problematic. Patriarch 8's bloodline and Lu Li's bloodline were separated by many generations. What had Lu Li not seen? He put on a wicked smile and said to Lu Hongyu, Not to be outdone, Sister Hongyu, you are right. I will stay away from you in case you get hurt. Ha ha ha. Lu Lin laughed. He was amused by Lu Li and Lu Hongyu. Lu Hongyu smiled sweetly as well. Lu Lin nodded and said, Good. Lu Li, you're an interesting guy. I like you. I am sorry. Lu Li waved his hand and said, Cousin, I am straight. I'm not interested in men. Please find someone else. Chapter 363. Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu seemed to be closer to each other. They were all disciples of the same family. Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu admired what Lu Li had done. What was more, Lu Li was the son of Lu Ren Huang, a legendary figure of the Lu family and the grandson of the family patriarch. Lu Li asked someone to serve tea, and a maid served them some dark cyan tea. Lu Lin looked at it and exclaimed, Lu Li, this is the 1,000-mountain leaf, one of the best. One tael is worth 5 million Xian crystals. Patriarch 8 is so nice to you. Lu Hongyu pouted and said, Grandpa is biased. Last time, I wanted to ask him for some, and I had to beg him for half a month. Lu Li, do you have any? Give me some. This is good stuff. Lu Li was surprised. He grew up in the Delong tribe. How could he know the quality of tea? He looked at the maid and asked, How many do you have? The maid thought about it and said, I think we have some about 1 or 2 kilograms. Go and pack them 1 kilogram each. Lu Li waved his hand, and the maid went to pack the tea. Lu Hongyu smiled from ear to ear. Lu Lin nodded with a smile as well. It was not that he was interested in the tea, but that Lu Li was a good man. He gave them 1 kilogram each, and Lu Li didn't have much left. Brother Lu Li. Lu Hongyu was in a good mood, so she was more talkative. She moved closer and asked, I heard that your parents went missing when you were born? Where's Uncle Renwang? How did you grow up? Lu Lin looked over as well. He was curious as well. Lu Li didn't want to talk about these things. He thought about it and said, How can I grow up? In a small tribe at the northern desert, my sister and I depended on each other. I was brought up by my sister, and I never saw my parents. Later, when I grew up, I became more powerful and luckier. I made some friends, and then I was able to go back to the family. Lu Li's words were casual, but there were many stories behind them. Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu were smart enough to hear the bitterness in his words. Lu Hongyu calmed down. She patted Lu Li's shoulder and said, I have heard about your sister. Don't worry. I've asked Grandpa. The Palace of Blue Lions has already sent people to rescue her. They'll bring your sister back in 3 months at most. Lu Lin added, Well, Lu Li, you don't have to be bullied when you get back to the family. We will help you. I've heard about what happened to the Song clan. When the time comes, I'll bring people to destroy the Song family and help you vent your anger. Thank you. Lu Li thanked them with a smile. He could feel the sincerity of Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu. No matter how the upper echelons schemed against each other, the younger generation did not have that many schemes. At the very least, these two should not have. Oh right, Lu Lin suddenly thought of something. His expressions turned gloomy. He thought about it and said, Lu Li, in a month, Grandpa Big will be back. Lu Swan and Lu and I will come back as well. You have to be careful. I'm afraid they might cause you trouble. How dare they? Lu Hongyu glared at him and said, if they dare to bully brother Lu Li, I will not let them go. Lu? Lu Swan? Lu Li frowned. It was the first time he had heard of these two names. He asked with confusion, who are they? Lu Lin explained, they're the two sons of my second uncle. They're the two most outstanding disciples of the family. They are 21 and 20, at the middle stage of the noble lord realm and at the initial stage respectively. They have learned profound meanings. Lu Li's heart was pounding. They must have awakened the King Kong bloodline and learned profound meanings at the age of 20 and 21. They could defeat warriors of the same realm. To reach the noble lord realm at the age of 20 was a realm that many people could never reach in their entire lives. Disciples of the 12 royal families were really amazing. Granted, they had the help of endless resources of the Lu family, but outsiders could not help them learn profound meanings. The two's talents were unquestionable. Lu Li vaguely understood Lu Lin's concerns. Lu Li's grandpa was in charge of the Lu family. Now, the chief patriarch was in charge. In other words, Lu Renwang was the crown prince, and Lu Li was the eldest grandson. Now, Lu Swan and Lu Ni were the eldest grandsons. Before Lu Li came back, Lu Swan and Lu Ni were the core of the young generation of the Lu family. Now that Lu Li was back, the status of Lu Swan and Lu Ni would be impacted. The two might make trouble for Lu Li. Brother Lu Li, don't be afraid. Lu Hongyu comforted Lu Li, seeing that he was frowning. Sister Hongyu is here. I will skin anyone who dares to make trouble for you. Thank you, Sister Hongyu. Lu Li smiled but shook his head and said, how can a man stand behind a woman? What is more, Lu Li, am not a pushover. If anyone dares to make trouble for me, I will make them suffer. I have killed warriors of the noble lord realm before. By the end of his words, Lu Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu were stunned. Lu Lin said in a hurry, Lu Li, you can't do this. The Hall of Patriarchs and the elders acquiesce in the fights between disciples. But once you kill someone, nobody can help you. The first rule of the Lu family is that disciples of the Lu family that kill each other will be banished from the Lu family and will never be called back. Lu Hongyu nodded and said, that is right. This rule was set by the first family patriarch of the Lu family. In history, anyone who violated this rule would be banished from the family or exiled to the Oman Island. If the situation is worse, they would be killed on the spot. Oh, I see. Lu Li said he understood. Then he looked at Lu Lin's neck with curiosity and asked, Brother Lin, have you awakened the King Kong bloodline? Is the mystic armor really that strong? Lu Lin saw that Lu Li was eager to try. He said with a smile, you want to try? Okay. Lu Li nodded. Lu Lin stood up. A black glare came from his neck. Then a surge of powerful qi and energy came from his body. Lu Li felt the blood in Lu Lin's body was boiling. Swish, swish, the black glare came from Lu Lin's body. Then layers of cyan keratin came out from his body. The keratin solidified quickly and covered Lu Lin up, leaving only his face. In the end, a beautiful cyan armor appeared outside Lu Lin's body. The armor was glistening and it was gorgeous. There was a strange qi and energy coming out from it. Lu Lin felt he had become an immortal. Lu Lin made an inviting gesture and said, Lu Li, I heard that your beast claw is powerful. Come and see if it can break my mystic armor. Lu Li touched his nose and said, are you sure? Will it affect you if the mystic armor is broken? Ha ha ha. Lu Lin laughed loudly, and his laughter was filled with confidence. Lu Hongyu explained, Lu Li, do your best. It will be okay even if the mystic armor is broken. You will only lose some energy, and you will recover after a few days of rest. Lu Lin's mystic armor has reached the 5th rank. Average attacks cannot break it. Then I will not hold back. Blood Claw! Lu Li shouted. His right sleeve burst open and scales appeared on his right hand. His fingers grew longer and his nails were hooked. His white hand turned into a horrifying and beautiful beast claw. Swish! Lu Li suddenly grabbed at Lu Lin's arm. The sharp claw made contact with the mystic armor on Lu Lin's arm. Sparks came out, and then the mystic armor was torn apart. Blood spilled out. Lu Li retracted his arm at once while Lu Lin stepped back in fear. Hiss, hiss. Chapter 364. 5th rank Mystic Armor. That was a high-level mystic armor. The King Kong bloodline of the Lu family didn't grant invincible defense upon awakening. It had to be cultivated through a secret skill of the Lu family. Of course, once the King Kong bloodline was awakened, one could reach the 4th or 5th rank in dozens or hundreds of years, even if they had poor comprehension skills. The higher the rank, the color of the mystic armor would be different. Just like the rank of the bloodline, red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, and gold. In history, only the founding progenitor could cultivate the mystic armor to the 9th rank, the golden mystic armor. Even Lu Zhengyang of the Lu family and the talented Lu Renhuang could only reach the 8th rank. The higher the rank of the mystic armor, the stronger the defense would be. Lu Zhengyang relied on the 8th rank mystic armor and his unique defense, profound, meaning to be known as the most powerful warrior at the Central Plains. He ranked 9th on the Central Plains warlord list. Lu Li learned more about the mystic armor after Lu Hongyu explained it to him. Lu Lin treated his wounds. His face was pale. He said with a bitter smile, "Lu Li, you really are a freak. What is that beast claw? Secret skill? Bloodline skill? Or something else?" "Ancient secret skill." Lu Li took off the beast claw, but his sleeve was torn. He went back to his room to change and came out. He said, "I got this from a tomb of an emperor at the northern desert. The roar you heard was also from there. It is an ancient skill." Those were Lu Li's secrets. Even Great Patriarch didn't tell him the truth. Lu Li wouldn't tell Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu the truth. Impressive. Lu Lin nodded to himself. Then he said with a bitter smile, "I will go back now. You damaged my mystic armor, and I have to rest for a couple of days. I will talk to you later. Well, I will take you to the city of mystic armor in a couple of days and make some friends. Your gang of scoundrels is nothing good." Lu Hongyu glared at Lu Lin. Then she put her arms around Lu Li's shoulders and said, "Brother Lu Li, I will take you to meet the beautiful young ladies of the big families in the city. Tell me if you like anyone. I will be your go-between." Lu Li couldn't turn them down since they were so enthusiastic. He nodded and they left. Lu Li watched them leave. Seeing Mingyu and Yu Huashan standing outside in silence, Lu Li asked, "Do you feel bored at the Lu family?" Mingyu is a taciturn person with a cold personality. He shook his head and said, "I don't think so. It's the same no matter where I am." Yu Huashan had mixed feelings. He thought he could gain many benefits when Lu Li returned to the Lu family. But now, it seemed that Lu Li was not favored by the Lu family. Not to mention the benefits, he was still a slave, and he was almost killed not long ago. Lu Li turned to Yu Huashan, who cupped his fists and said, "Wherever young master is, we will be there." "All right." Lu Li smiled gently. He knew what Yu Huashan was thinking. He patted Yu Huashan's shoulder and said, "Don't be upset. Let's wait for a couple of months. In a couple of months, my sister should be back. If my grandpa can come out, it will be the best. After a few months, I will return you your freedom. You can leave or stay if you want. What kind of mystical materials do you need for cultivation? Let me know. I can't tell you the expensive ones, but I think I can get the average ones." The higher the realm, the more difficult it was to cultivate. Without the support of a big family, the cultivation speed would be very slow. Yu Huashan and Mingyu didn't have many mystical materials. Mingyu and Yu Huashan's eyes glowed. They were poor, and they didn't have a place to buy mystical materials. If Lu Li could provide them with mystical materials, it would be of great help to their cultivation. They had been cooped up in the soaring sky pavilion every day. Mingyu didn't refuse. He immediately listed out some mystical materials. Yu Huashan took a look at Mingyu's list, nodded and said, "That's enough. We can get 2 of these mystical materials. It will be enough for us to cultivate for a year." Okay. Lu Li walked out with the list. He found the escort at the door, handed it over, and said, "Ask Patriarch 8 for 2 of the mystical materials on this list. Tell him they are for my cultivation." The escorts looked at the mystical materials on the list and were speechless. This young master was so greedy. The 2 sets of mystical materials were worth at least billions of Xian crystals. Seeing that the escorts didn't move again, Luli glared at them and said, "What are you waiting for?" The escorts put on a long face. They gave the list back to Lu Li and said, "Young master, we cannot get these. You go to the Hall of Patriarchs and ask for them in person." Lu Li thought about it and realized it was hard for the escorts. He waved his hand and said, "Someone, show me the way. I will go to the Hall of Patriarchs in person." The escorts were relieved. One of them hurried to lead the way. This time, Lu Li knew the rules. He didn't fly in midair. Without Yu Huaxin and Mingyu, he couldn't fly either. Lu Li walked out of the Rising Dragon Pavilion and wandered around the buildings and castles. He saw Lu family warriors everywhere. There were so many powerful warriors at the Mystic Armor Mountain. Any old man he met could be at the Noble Lord realm. Many people noticed Lu Li along the way. Some looked at him from afar, pointing at him and discussing in a low voice. There were also people who bowed respectfully and called him young master. Lu Li was very polite to the average warriors. He would respond with a smile to anyone who bowed to him. Many people thought they had seen the wrong person. Was this really the cruel and tyrannical young master? Lu Li was famous at the Lu family. Of course, he was even more famous for his cruelty and cruelty. After all, how could a man who dared to fight at the Hall of Patriarchs and almost killed Qiu Wenzi twice in front of the Patriarchs be kind? After several turns, Lu Li arrived at the Hall of Patriarchs after the time for several incense sticks to burn. The hole in the wall had been repaired. There were 4 warriors of the Eternal Realm guarding outside. Seeing that Lu Li was here, the 4 warriors were startled out of instinct. One of them went in to report at once. This time, Lu Li didn't go in rashly. He stood outside obediently. After a while, the warrior came out and said, "Young master, Patriarch 8 asked you to go in." "Thank you." Lu Li walked in with a smile. The 4 warriors outside were dumbfounded. How could Lu Li say thank you to them? There weren't many people at the Hall of Patriarchs. Lu Finghua and the others wouldn't come if there was nothing important. Patriarch 8 was the only one here. Lu Li went into the hall, cupped his fists, and said to Patriarch 8, "Nice to meet you, Patriarch 8. "Don't do that." Patriarch 8 was drinking tea. He glanced at Lu Li and said, "Say it. What do you want now?" "Ha ha." Lu Li walked over to Patriarch 8 and sat down. He took a sip of tea, handed over a list, and said, "Nothing. I just want some herbs for cultivation. It's not worth mentioning." "Patriarch 8, you know that I have to borrow Xian crystals to teleport back to the family. I am poor, or else I wouldn't ask for this. Also, I want some elixirs for reaching the Noble Lord realm, Rising Dragon Grass." Patriarch 8 glanced over and his face darkened. He said, "Family leaf, dragon scorpion powder. These are regular herbs? You want Rising Dragon Grass? Lu Li, you have blood essence in your body. Those are the most precious elixirs. Now, just focus on your cultivation. These herbs are useless to you. Don't waste our family's resources." Lu Li had no other choice but to tell the truth. He sighed and said, "These are for my 2 slaves. They risked their lives with me and went through so much trouble to send me back. As their master, I cannot mistreat them. The mystical materials for reaching the Noble Lord realm are for my aunt. Patriarch 8, I am here in person. Can you do me a favor?" "No," Patriarch 8 said with a straight face. "Families have their own rules and difficulties. If everyone is like you, asking for things and asking for exorbitant prices, the Lu family will collapse one day. No matter how big the Lu family's business is, it will still collapse. You don't know that these years, the Lu family... If you don't want to do it, then fine. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Lu Li's expressions turned cold. He grabbed the list and walked out. The 8th elder was shocked. What was this young master trying to do this time? He shouted coldly, "Stop! Lu Li, what are you doing?" "Nothing." Lu Li shrugged his shoulders. He turned back and said, Great Patriarch promised me that I will give you everything I want. Since you don't want to give me anything, I will have to ask him. If he doesn't, I will tear down his palace. Nonsense. Patriarch 8 stood up, flustered and exasperated. Not only did this punk make a scene at the Hall of Patriarchs, he also wanted to make a scene at the temporary imperial residence of Great Patriarch. Patriarch 8 thought about it and said with a straight face, Give me the list. This is the only time. If you dare to make trouble again, I will skin you for your grandpa. P.S. Many people complained about the setting of the character Lu Feishue. They said it was unacceptable. To explain, Lu Feishue didn't say that she was slutty. She just said that she was rebellious and arrogant. Her parents didn't care about her. Her brother, who loved her the most, ran away from home. It was normal for her to become a delinquent. When Lu Li wrote books, he liked to give each person an independent life and soul. If everyone was good and the same, then there would be no soul. It would not be like a real world, and the characters would not be real. Just like Jiang Qiling's sluttiness, Madame Yan's cruelty, and Lu Ling's cruelty, in the boundless universe, there are all kinds of people. In the future, you will also come into contact with all kinds of people. There is love, righteousness, conspiracy, cold-bloodedness, cruelty, passion, and betrayal. Chapter 365. Patriarch 8 sent someone to get the mystical materials, but Lu Li was still worried. He had been waiting here. A deacon brought over the mystical materials for Ming Yu and Yu Huashan, as well as a portion for Lu Feishue to reach the noble lord realm. Lu Li nodded with satisfaction after he made sure that the amount was correct. All right, I've given you everything you wanted. Patriarch 8 looked at Lu Li coldly and said, The blood essence in your body is very precious. A pond of blood essence can only be made with countless treasure materials. Normally, a pool of blood is enough for 400 to 500 people to absorb. So, don't run around and cultivate. The longer you stay here, the more blood essence will dissipate. All right, I got it. Stop nagging. Lu Li waved his hand and left quickly, leaving behind Patriarch 8, who was fuming with anger. Back at the Rising Dragon Pavilion, Ming Yu and Yu Huashan had been waiting outside. Yu Huashan said from afar, Young master, how did it go? Let's talk inside. Lu Li showed them in. Lu Feishue had woken up from her afternoon nap and was drinking tea in the hall. Seeing Lu Li walking in with a smile on his face, she smiled and said, Lu Li, what is it? So happy. Hee. The ring on Lu Li's hand glowed as hundreds of jade boxes appeared. Lu Li divided the jade boxes into 3 parts. Pointing to 2 parts, he said to Ming Yu and Yu Huashan, These are yours. Take them. Thank you, young master. Yu Huashan and Ming Yu were overjoyed. They opened the jade boxes and were even more thrilled. The mystical materials Lu Li got for them were enough for them to cultivate for more than a year. Ming Yu was poor to begin with. All his mystical materials were given by Lu Renwang. If Lu Li didn't help him, Ming Yu wouldn't know where else to get more mystical materials. The 2 of them left with the mystical materials. It was very safe on the Mystic Armor Mountain. There were guards outside the yard. There was no need for the 2 of them to protect them. And these are for you. They are mystical materials for you to reach the noble lord realm. Lu Li pointed to the rest of the jade boxes and said, If I can't make it this time, I will get more for you. If I succeed, I will get you some mystical materials for the noble lord realm. Lu Feishue didn't expect that Lu Li would get her some mystical materials. Ever since she married Xiao Wenze, she had stopped cultivating. She had been stuck at the peak of the eternal realm. It had been so many years that she had forgotten how to cultivate. The Qiu family didn't give her any spiritual materials. Her father was in trouble and her brother wasn't around. Her family didn't even care about Qiu Wenze beating her up. How could she ask the Lu family for spiritual materials? I don't want it. Lu Li, take it and cultivate. You're still young and need these spiritual materials. Auntie is old. Cultivating is a waste of spirit materials. Lu Feishue shook her head and refused. Her realm was too low. Even if she could reach the noble lord realm, what could she do? There were many powerful warriors in the Lu family, and noble lord realm warriors were numerous. She wouldn't make a difference. It had been so many years, and she didn't want to cultivate anymore. Wrong. How could any be old? Luli said with a smile, Auntie, you have 9 fate wheels. You can live for more than 2,000 years. You're only in your 30s. Compared to your long life, you were just a kid. Seeing that Lu Feishua's expressions didn't change much, Luli thought of something and said, Annie, you are talented, more so than 90% of the people in the world. Nothing is too difficult for those who set their minds to it. Annie, if you cultivate seriously, you can reach the human sovereign realm, or even the earth immortal realm. Annie, why are we being bullied? Why does our family look down on us? It's because we don't have any powerful warriors. Also, don't you want to kill Wenza? Don't you want to get back at those who bullied you? If you can reach the earth immortal realm, you can go anywhere in the world. Who can stop you from doing whatever you want to do? There is no reason in the world. Auntie, if you are strong enough, you are the reason. If I am bullied in the future, you can stand up for me, right? Lu Li's tone was calm, but his words stirred Lu Feishua's heart. Lu Feishua's breathing quickened, especially when he said that the world was so big that she couldn't go anywhere. She had a knot in her heart. She wanted to find her former lover and ask him why he left her. A spark could set a prairie on fire. Lu Feishua thought about it. She put away all the jade boxes and said, Okay, I will cultivate. If others can reach the earth immortal realm, so can I. When I do, I will kill Wenza's entire family. Go, Luli said with a smile. What he said just now was to provoke Lu Feishua. He wanted to give her a goal, to give her something to look forward to make her life more passionate. She wouldn't be as numb as she was now. Earth Immortal Realm. If Earth Immortal Realm warriors could reach the Earth Immortal Realm by working hard, then there wouldn't be so few in the world. Big families had endless resources. As far as Luli could tell, human sovereign realm warriors could not be reached with resources, or else the Lu family would have many human sovereign realm warriors. Luli didn't care how far Lu Feishua could go. As long as she could pull herself together, that would be enough. Seeing Lu Feishua getting up, Luli suddenly thought of something. He asked, Aunt, wait, what is it? Lu Feishua looked back. Luli said, How come I feel there are fewer powerful warriors in the family? Chief Patriarch, Second Patriarch, and Third Patriarch are still young. Are there no other powerful warriors in the family? Warriors at the peak of the eternal realm could live for more than 2,000 years. The Lu family had so many disciples. The old ones were still alive, and the young ones had all grown up. Theoretically speaking, there should be more old warriors in the family. There were fewer powerful warriors than Lu Li had imagined. Lu Feishua thought about it and said, You don't have the right to know about this. But since you have asked, I will tell you something. Okay, Lu Li was excited. This must be a secret that only the higher-ups of the Lu family were qualified to know. Lu Feishua checked the situation outside and said in a low voice, Luli, do you know where we are? Luli was surprised. Isn't this the Central Plains? The Mystic Armor region? Yes, but also not. Lu Feishua shook her head and said, As a matter of fact, the Northern Desert, the Siam Plains, and the Central Plains are all one place called the Great Land. The Great Land is divided into 9 plains, where humans live. The Central Plains is only the largest one. Great Land? 9 plains? Luli frowned. An idea came to his mind. Are there other lands in this world? Yes. Lu Feishua nodded and said, Our world is called the Heaven Reverse Universe. There are 5 lands. The Great Land is in the middle, where humans live. To the north, to the east, to the south, and to the west, there are 4 more lands. They are not in the hands of humans. You must remember the rumor that your grandpa went to the voodoo land of the south alone and came back with serious injuries. The voodoo land of the south is at the southernmost part of the voodoo race. To the west is the feather land of the west, where the feather race lives. To the north is the barbarian land of the north, where the barbarian race lives. To the east is the ocean land of the east, where the evil and cruel Asmodeans live. Heaven reverse universe, great land, barbarian land of the north, feather land of the west, voodoo land of the south, ocean land of the east. Luli felt he had seen a whole new world. He didn't expect it to be so vast. The central plains was boundless, but it was only one of the 9 plains of the great land. Chapter 366. Demon-Slaying Battleground. On hearing the name, Luli felt his blood was boiling. Lu Feishue didn't say much, but a picture came to his mind. Powerful warriors of the voodoo race, the barbarian race, the feather race, and the Asmodeans were swarming in from all directions, trying to take over this beautiful land. Forefathers of the human race fought with their lives on the battleground. They killed many powerful warriors of the 4 races just to protect this beautiful land and the tens of millions of humans. I must go to the demon-slaying battleground when I have the chance, Luli exclaimed to himself. Then he forced a smile. His realm was too low. Not even warriors of the Noble Lord realm were qualified to go there, let alone warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Cultivate, cultivate. Luli didn't want to waste any more time. Blood essence was good stuff. Every second and every minute, there would be some energy spreading in heaven and earth. He went back to his room to cultivate soul cultivation skill. The Soul Pond realm focused on soul cultivation, and Xian energy cultivation was secondary. Xian energy cultivation was so easy at the Lu family. The pellets of the Lu family were much better than the Cyan Phoenix pellet. As soon as Luli used soul cultivation skill, the blood essence in his body surged out and entered his soul pond to strengthen it. The speed of cultivation was so fast that Luli could feel his soul pond was growing with every passing second. Luli believed that in 1 month at most, he could reach the peak of the soul pond realm if the blood essence could continue to gush out. By then, he could ask for some mystical materials from the Lu family, and then he could try to reach the Fateful realm. The following days were peaceful. Lu Feishue was in closed-door cultivation. She didn't try to reach the Noble Lord realm right away. It had been a long time since she cultivated, and she needed some time to get used to it. Yu Huaxin and Mingyu were in closed-door cultivation as well. Luli asked the escorts outside to stop them from coming in and refused to see anyone. They were all in closed-door cultivation for a while. The disturbance caused by Lu Li's return calmed down as he cultivated in a low-key manner. Patriarch 8 and the others knew that Lu Li was cultivating, so they wouldn't come and disturb him. After all, blood essence was precious. The more he absorbed, the better it would be for his body. Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu came to visit after a couple of days. But Lu Li was cultivating and refused to see visitors. The 2 of them didn't want to disturb him, so they went back. More than 10 days later, at noon, an iron-armored ship came from the south. It did not stop outside the city, but flew directly into the city. None of the sergeants on the city wall dared to stop them because there was a big word Lu on the iron-armored ship. This iron-armored ship was golden, and there were only 2 of them in the entire Lu family. Whoosh, dozens of powerful warriors flew out from the Mystic Armor City and the Mystic Armor Mountain. They stood on the Mystic Armor Mountain. When the iron-armored ship stopped, they bowed and cupped their fists. "Welcome, Master." The shouts of a group of people woke Luli up. As soon as he heard the word family head, his eyes glowed. He flew out and stood in the yard to look up. The iron-armored ship was put away. An old man in a luxurious robe flew down with 2 young masters and a group of people. They entered the Hall of Patriarchs directly. Yu Huaxin, Mingyu, and Lu Feishue were all alarmed. They came out as well. When Luli saw Lu Feishue, he asked in confusion, "Family master? Who is it?" Lu Feishue was speechless. "Who else could it be? It's your great-grandpa." "Isn't the family head my grandpa?" Luli asked back. "Your grandpa is the family patriarch." Lu Feishue explained in a low voice. "Father is in trouble. A country cannot go one day without a king. A family cannot go one day without a master. But father is not dead and the matter cannot be spread out. Your great-grandpa can only be the family patriarch. If your great-grandpa becomes the family patriarch, the matter will be spread out. People will suspect that something has happened to Father. Now, it will be announced that Father is in closed-door cultivation to reach a higher realm, and your great-grandpa will be the family patriarch in charge of the Liu family. Oh, I see. Liu Li was disappointed. He was happy for nothing. When he heard about the family patriarch, he thought his grandpa had come out. Liu Li remembered the two young masters with his great-grandpa. He asked, "Great-grandpa went out with Lu Swan and Lu and I? What are they doing?" "I don't know." Lu Feishue shook her head. Then she said with a grave expression, "Liu Li, be careful. Don't go out. Lu Swan and Lu and I are not good people. They will make trouble for you if you go out." The elders of the Liu family don't care about the fights between the young disciples as long as no lives are lost. Lu Lin mentioned this before as well. Liu Li asked with confusion, "Why not? Are you letting the young disciples fight among themselves? Won't this affect the unity of the disciples?" "Ha ha, not only the Liu family. All the big families are the same." Lu Feishue said with a bitter smile, "There are too many young disciples in the big families. It is inevitable that there will be fights. In the eyes of the elders, if you won't be the Tiger King, you must suppress your peers. If you can't even suppress your peers, how can you convince the others? How can you suppress the talented disciples of other families when you can't even do so? How can you win glory for the family?" "That's reasonable." Liu Li touched his nose, but he didn't like to fight with his peers. They were all his family members. What was the point of treating them like enemies? If he had to suppress his cousins to get to the top, he would rather not. "I will go back to cultivate." Liu Li had been cultivating for half a month. His soul pond was almost at the later stage of the soul pond realm. He was not interested in going out to make trouble. He might as well hide in the Rising Dragon Pavilion and cultivate every day. Whoosh, he wanted peace and quiet, but trouble had found him. A warrior walked over in strides. After he entered the Rising Dragon Pavilion, he reported, "Young Master Li, the family master wants to see you." Yu Huashun and Ming Yu were nervous. Lu Feishue thought about it with a frown and whispered to Liu Li, "Liu Li, behave yourself. Don't talk back to your grandpa. He is the family master and the leader of the Liu family. All the disciples must listen to him. If you offend him, we can't stay at the Mystic Armor Mountain anymore." Liu Li looked at Lu Feishue and decided to put up with it. His grandpa was the family master of the Liu family, not the patriarchs. But Lu Feishue had just settled down. If she was expelled from a Mystic Armor Mountain, where would she go? Liu Li followed the warrior to the Hall of Patriarchs. In the yard of the Hall of Patriarchs, he saw many unfamiliar, powerful warriors. There were 20 or 30 of them waiting in the yard. Some of them were at the human sovereign realm. They must be the patriarchs of the external clan. "Young Master Li, wait outside. The family master will summon you later." A deacon of the noble lord realm came over and said to Liu Li as soon as he saw him. Liu Li touched his nose. He had to wait in a corner of the yard. Many people in the yard looked at Liu Li with curiosity, but nobody came over to ask questions. There were people being brought into the Hall of Patriarchs, and people coming out every now and then. Nobody called Liu Li. He had to wait outside in silence. He stood there. He had been standing there for an entire afternoon. It was getting dark, and he was not called in yet. Liu Li was getting more and more upset, but he didn't lose his temper. He waited in silence. There were people coming in and out of the Hall of Patriarchs. More patriarchs of the external clan came, but they didn't call Liu Li in. 2 hours later, it was completely dark. Liu Li couldn't stand it any longer after enduring for an entire afternoon. He cupped his fist to the deacon and said, "It is getting late. I am sleepy. I will go back and take a nap. I will come back later to visit the family master when I have time." With that said, Liu Li walked out in strides and disappeared into the darkness of the night. There were still some deacons and patriarchs of the external clan standing in the yard. They looked at each other, speechless. This young man was as unruly as the rumors said. P.S. The power went out. I wrote 2 chapters in the coffee shop. I owe 1, and I will write 4 tomorrow. Chapter 367. Inside the Elders' Hall, the current head of the Liu clan, Liu Zhangtan, was summoning a group of outer clan elders to listen to their reports on their work during this period. Lu Jingtan had been away for a long time. As the head of the family, he naturally had to understand the situation of the Lu family during this period. The Lu family had a huge business. The entire eastern part of the Central Plains was under their control. Many mines, treasure lands, and medicinal fields were all occupied by the Lu family. The Lu clan had only sealed the city so that the disciples of the clan could not leave. It did not mean that they had given up on the benefits outside. At this time, an internal affairs deacon suddenly walked in and wanted to whisper a few words in Lu Jingtan's ear. Lu Jingtan waved his hand and said, "If you have something to say, say it in public. We are all family. There is no need to be secretive." Lu Jingtan actually didn't look old. His face was ruddy, and his appearance was dignified. However, his hair was a little gray. His eyes were like a tiger's, and his face was resolute. His every movement was filled with a domineering aura. There was also an indescribable aura around him that made people feel suppressed, and they didn't dare to look at him directly. Since Lu Jingtan said so, the deacon could only grit his teeth and say, "Just now, young Masterly left. He said he was sleepy and wanted to go back to rest for a while. He would come back to visit you later." Huh. The deacon's words caused an uproar in the main hall. At that moment, there were many people standing inside. Apart from the great elder who was in seclusion, all the other elders were present. Lu Xuan and Lu Ni stood behind Lu Fenghua. There were more than a dozen patriarchs of the external clan. Including the deacons, there were 20 to 30 people in total. How could Lu Li just leave when Lu Jingtan wanted to see him? This was looking down on the family head. If everyone was like this, then Lu Jingtan wouldn't be able to be the patriarch anymore. If he couldn't even order the people of the Lu clan, then how could he lead the clan? Bastard. Lu Fenghua was enraged. Lu Jingtan was his father. Disrespecting Lu Jingtan would make Lu Fenghua angrier than slapping him. Lu Fenghua stood up and said, "Go and arrest Lu Li. Put him in jail and await punishment." Last time, Lu Fenghua had nowhere to vent his anger because of Great Patriarch's help. How could Lu Li be so arrogant now that Lu Jingtan was back? If they didn't teach him a lesson, they wouldn't be able to control the Lu family in the future. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 looked at each other bitterly. Lu Li would feel uncomfortable if he didn't stir up some trouble. Lu Jingtan had just come back, and now Lu Li was in trouble. A group of soldiers came in. Hearing Lu Fenghua's words, they all looked at Lu Jingtan. However, Lu Jingtan was not angry at all. He smiled and stroked his beard. "He's just a child." "Fenghua, what are you shouting for? I have heard something about Lu Li. He has just returned to the family, so it is understandable that he doesn't know the etiquette. I will teach him later." The patriarch is wise. The 8th elder and the 4th elder hastily got up, cupped their fists, and shouted. The two of them did not know what to do. Since Lu Jingtan said so, they were naturally happy. Some of the outer clan elders nodded slightly. Lu Jingtan was so magnanimous. This was how a clan leader should be. After all, that was Lu Renhuang's son. The family patriarch of the Lu family was still alive. Lu Fenghua sneered and said, "Lu Li doesn't have any evidence, and he hasn't awakened the King Kong bloodline. We haven't confirmed that he is the son of a human sovereign realm warrior yet. Now that he's so arrogant, if we confirm his identity, won't he fly up into the sky?" Lu Jingtan waved his hand and said, "Didn't fifth uncle say that? He has confirmed that he is a disciple of the Lu family. Whether he is the son of a human sovereign realm warrior or not, he can injure Qiu Wenzi badly when he is only at the Soul Pond realm. He must be as talented as a human sovereign realm warrior. It is normal for a talented disciple to be arrogant. He is wild and doesn't know the rules, but that is not a problem. We have many things to deal with. I will meet him in person later and teach him. If he can become a talent, it will be a good thing for the family." Yes, Lu Fenghua wouldn't continue to make trouble after Lu Jingtan had said so. The several patriarchs looked at each other. They understood the underlying meaning. The patriarchs of the outer clan were not idiots. They all understood the meaning. There was no doubt that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family. There was no doubt that Lu Li was very talented. That being said, Lu Jingtan still had doubts about whether Lu Li was the son of Lu Renhuang. Lu Jingtan also said that Lu Li didn't know the rules and that he would teach him a lesson later. This was a clear signal he didn't like Lu Li. If there were any patriarchs that were close to Lu Li, Lu Jingtan wouldn't like them either. There was not much difference between a family leader and a king of a country, especially for a family like the Lu family, the overlord of the Eastern Central Plains. Lu Jingyang used to be the family patriarch, the king of the Eastern Central Plains. Now, Lu Zhongtan had replaced him. Lu Zhongtan was telling everyone in a silent way that they should not choose the wrong side, or else he would not be happy. Wild and boorish man, Lu Xuan said in a low voice. He and Lu Xuan had inherited Lu Fenghua's looks. They were good-looking and had an extraordinary temperament. They didn't show many expressions. They had been standing behind Lu Fenghua calmly. When Lu Jingtan finished speaking, the two of them looked at each other, and a cold smile appeared on their faces. Lu Li and Lu Lin were right. Lu Xuan and Lu and I did not like Lu Li. It was not because the two brothers were narrow-minded. Even it was not because Lu Fenghua and Lu Yintian were against Lu Li because of their moral character. It was all about interests. Lu Li's return was not in the interest of their branch. They did not believe that Lu Li was Lu Renhuang's son. On the contrary, they believed it without a doubt. What was more, they suspected that Lu Li was sent back by Lu Renhuang to be the vanguard. Otherwise, how could Lu Li be so bold? They had never been in power before, and they did not know the benefits of power. After they were in power, Lu Fenghua and the others had tasted the sweetness. All the resources of the family belonged to them. Lu Fenghua, his brothers, Lu Xuan, and Lu Enai could have whatever resources and treasures they wanted. This time, when Lu Xuan and Lu Enai went out, they were received as if they were the eldest grandsons of the Lu family. Many young ladies of major families wanted to sleep with the two brothers. Lu Zhongtan used to stand behind Lu Zhengyang all the time. Everyone would surround Lu Zhengyang, but nobody would give him a second look. Even though he was not weaker than Lu Zhengyang, a family patriarch was a family patriarch. He did not represent himself, but the entire Lu family. Therefore, the conflict was irreconcilable. Lu Jingtan's intention was clear. He was trying to knock Lu Li down and at the same time win people's hearts and intimidate others. He wanted to tell all the patriarchs that he, Lu Zhongtan, was in charge and they would have to bear the consequences if they chose the wrong side. Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 looked at each other bitterly. If they continued to be close to Lu Li, they would be suppressed by Lu Zhongtan. In the future, they might even lose their positions as patriarchs. Alas, if our family patriarch can wake up, then everything can be changed. Such a shame. Patriarch 8 sighed to himself. During the past 10 years, the structure of the Lu family had changed. The Lu family had changed dynasties. Unless Lu Zhengyang could wake up, not even Lu Renhuang could change anything, not to mention Lu Li. Yes, Lu Feixue was right. Lu Zhengyang did go to the voodoo land of the south. He was badly injured and poisoned with a horrifying voodoo poison. He had been sleeping for 10 years. Many patriarchs of the Lu family, including Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4, had lost all hope. Chapter 368. Lu Li didn't know what was going on, but he didn't care. He had been influenced by Lu Ling since he was a kid. He would show respect to others when they showed him respect. He would return the favor 10 times over. If someone wanted to deal with him, he would return the favor with blood. Lu Li was worried about Lu Feixue, so he endured it for an entire afternoon. It was dark, and Lu Zhongtan didn't even talk to him. Lu Li could tell that Lu Zhongtan was humiliating him on purpose. Or Lu Zhongtan was trying to establish his dominance by humiliating him. Or Lu Zhongtan was waiting for Lu Li to fly into a rage. Lu Li was not a man without a temper. He went back to the Rising Dragon Pavilion without thinking too much. He would accept whatever Lu Zhongtan wanted. Of course, he pretended that nothing had happened when he returned to the Rising Dragon Pavilion. When Lu Feishu asked about it, Luli only said that Lu Zhongtan was too busy to see him and asked him to come back to cultivate. Luli fell asleep after he went back to his room. He didn't care about anything. When he woke up the next day, he had breakfast with Lu Feishu and then went back to his room to cultivate. He thought he would go out after he was in closed-door cultivation and wait for Lu Zhongtan to come after him. He would deal with whatever came his way. However, he was surprised. Lu Zhongtan didn't send anyone over. For the next 3 days, everything was peaceful. Lu Swan and Lu and I didn't come after him, either. Luli came out from closed-door cultivation. He asked the warriors outside to make sure that nobody came after him. He touched his nose embarrassedly. After a while, he went back to closed-door cultivation. He had been cultivating so fast that he felt his blood essence was inexhaustible. He was progressing at a tremendous speed. He was excited and cherished this cultivation speed. He wished he could cultivate for 24 hours a day. For the next couple of days, not only Lu Li and Lu Feishu, but also Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 8 were confused. Not only Lu Zhongtan didn't come after Lu Li, even Lu Swan and Lu Ni, the troublemakers, didn't do anything. Lu Swan and Lu Ni were the best young masters in the Lu family. Not even Lu Lin and Lu Hongyu could compete with them. The two brothers were arrogant at the Lu family and the city of mystic armor. There was no reason for them to tolerate Lu Li, who challenged their status. They went into closed-door cultivation as soon as they came back. They went to a top-level cultivation room in the family. It seemed that they had benefited a lot from this trip, and they wished they could improve their abilities right away. Many in the family were relieved that the two were not making trouble. Luli was in closed-door cultivation as well. There would be no conflict. Lu Zhongtan stayed at the Mystic Armor Mountain for a few days and went out again. This time, he went out to inspect his family's property. He had been away for a long time, so it was normal for him to do some inspection after he came back. The city of Mystic Armor quieted down. After a couple of days of cultivation, Lu Li stopped paying attention to the city. Apart from the occasional meals and chats with Lu Feishu, he spent the rest of his time cultivating. Half a month later, Patriarch 8 and the others were relieved. It seemed that Lu Zhongtan had said that Lu Fenghua, Lu Yintian, Lu Swan, and Lu and I would not dare to cause trouble. This was the best outcome for Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4. Warriors from the Palace of Blue Lions should have arrived at the Siam Plains. As long as Lu Ling could be brought back, Luli could be sure of Lu Li's identity and the whereabouts of Lu Renhuang. Although Patriarch 8 and the others were well aware that Lu Renhuang's return would not change anything. That being said, they still had some expectations for that talented future family patriarch. 20 years had passed. What if Lu Renhuang had reached the Earth Immortal Realm? At dawn on the 18th day, Luli opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with relief and excitement. There was not much blood essence left in his body. The speed of blood essence flowing out had slowed down a few days ago. Luckily, he had reached the peak of the Soul Pond realm. The peak of the Soul Pond realm was only one step away from the Fate Wheel realm. Luli was talented, and the Lu family had plenty of top-level elixirs. At the very least, even if Luli was not given the elixirs, he had the Heaven Serpent Fruit himself. Reaching the Fate Wheel realm was a sure thing. His soul pond was several times larger now. The Xian energy in his spirit sea was thick and vigorous. It was about to solidify. This was a sign that he had reached the peak of the Soul Pond realm. There was no doubt about it. Luli was in a good mood. He was ready to stop cultivation. He got up and looked at Little White lying in the corner. Little White jumped into Lu Li's arms in excitement as soon as it saw Lu Li. Lu Li threw some soul crystals to Little White, but Little White didn't eat them. Instead, Little White looked at Lu Li with resentment. Lu Li patted Little White's head lovingly. He knew that Little White was bored. Little White was born to be active. When it was at the northern desert, it would wander around. Now that it was back at the Mystic Armor Mountain, Lu Li would not let it run around. Little White, hold on a little longer. I will show you around when we have a chance. Lu Li sighed. There was nothing he could do now. For one thing, he had to cultivate. For another, the Lu family was sealed off. He couldn't go out for no reason. His family would not allow him to do so. Luli walked out with Little White. Lu Feishua wasn't cultivating. She was sitting by herself in a daze. Luli's footsteps startled her. She looked over and said with a smile, "Luli, you have finished cultivation?" "Yes, I have reached the peak of the Soul Pond realm." Luli grinned. "Good." Lu Feishua nodded. She was not too surprised. For one thing, Luli was the son of Lu Renhuang. He must be talented. For another, Luli had absorbed a pond of blood essence. Luli didn't understand the wonders of blood essence, but Lu Feishua did. Luli asked with concern, seeing that Lu Feishua wasn't cultivating, "Aunt, why don't you try to reach the noble lord realm? Is there something wrong?" "No hurry," Lu Feishua said with a smile. "It has been a long time since I cultivated. I used to be weak, and I need some time to recover to the best state. Otherwise, it will be a waste of mystical materials for the family." "Oh, I see." Luli understood. He thought about it and asked, "Is there anything going on in the family?" "Nothing," Lu Feishua said with a frown. "Your big grandpa is out on an inspection. Lu Swan and Lu and I are in cultivation. Second patriarch and third patriarch are quiet as well." "Lu Zhongtan is out?" Lu Li's eyes glowed. He stood up and said, "I'm going to ask Patriarch 8 for mystical material for the Fate Wheel realm. It is best that Lu Zhongtan is not here. I will go now, Aunt." "You are so rude. Call him Big Grandpa later." Lu Feishua glared at Lu Li. She grinned when Lu Li left in a hurry. Then, her expression became complicated again, and her beautiful eyes were filled with lingering worry. Lu Li walked out in strides and went directly to the Hall of Patriarchs. This time, he didn't send someone to report his arrival. Instead, he asked the escorts with a smile, "Who was in there?" The escorts could tell that Lu Li was up to no good. Of course, they didn't say anything. One of them said, "Patriarch 8 and Patriarch 4 are here." Lu Li beamed with joy and said, "Oh, that's good. Go and report that I have good news." The escorts went in to report and then brought Lu Li in. Lu Li bowed to Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 8 with respect and said, "Greetings, Patriarch 4, Patriarch 8. The two patriarchs looked at each other, feeling something was wrong. Lu Li must be up to no good by being so polite. Patriarch 8 said, "What good news? If you lie to us, I will slap you." "Of course it is good news, ha." Lu Li held his head high and said, "After days and nights of hard cultivation, I finally reached the peak of the Soul Pond realm from the initial stage of the Soul Pond realm in a month. Isn't this good news?" The two patriarchs rolled their eyes. Lu Li had absorbed an entire pond of blood essence. His progress was within their expectations. What good news was this? Seeing that the two didn't respond, Lu Li said with a grin, "Patriarchs, I am so diligent. Shouldn't you give me some rewards? For example, top-level pellets, holy grade weapons and armors, mystical materials for reaching the Fate Wheel realm, Heaven's Serpent Fruit, Rising Dragon Grass, Soul Crystals. Piss off." Chapter 369. Every family had their own rules on the distribution of mystical materials and treasures. Not even the future family patriarch could have everything he wanted. Otherwise, the other disciples would not be convinced and the unity of the family would be affected. Of course, if the future family patriarch was talented and the family had more resources, the other disciples wouldn't say anything. Lu Renhuang was an example. After all, it was a good thing for the Lu family that Lu Renhuang had become more powerful. Lu Li's status was much lower than Lu Renhuang's, even lower than Lu Swan and Lu and I. What was more, Lu Zhongtan was in charge now. How could Patriarch 4 and Patriarch 8 give Lu Li mystical materials and treasures at will? Therefore, Lu Li only got one set of mystical materials for reaching the Fate Wheel realm and one Heaven Serpent Fruit. Actually, Lu Zhongtan had to agree to the distribution of such mystical materials. However, Lu Li had a special identity, and he was talented, so the two patriarchs made the decision. Lu Zhongtan wouldn't say anything if they gave him some. Lu Li ran away as soon as he got the mystical materials, fearing that Lu Zhangtan would come back. He also got a secret method for reaching the Fate Wheel realm. With the secret method in the Heaven Serpent Fruit, it would be easier. There were better secret methods in the Warlord album of the Lu family. However, Lu Li was not sure that he was Lu Renwang's son, so the two patriarchs wouldn't give him the other methods. Back at the Rising Dragon Pavilion, Lu Li went to Yu Huashan and Ming Yu and asked them about their experiences on reaching the Fate Wheel realm. He chatted with Lu Feishue for a bit, and then went back to his room. The Xianwu realm, Spirit Sea realm, and Soul Pond realm were all about building the foundation. The Fate Wheel realm and the first three realms were worlds apart. Cultivation of Wu Dao was about changing one's fate. Reaching the Fate Wheel realm would change one's fate. One Fate Wheel could prolong one's life by 500 years. With a Fate Wheel, one could fly. If the first three realms were like children, then reaching the Fate Wheel realm would be like becoming adults. The Eternal realm and Noble Lord realm were like young people. When they reached the Human Sovereign realm, they would take another leap and enter the prime of their lives. Lu Li didn't think too much about the later realms. He went back to his room and started to study the secret method. He couldn't wait to reach the Fate Wheel realm because Lu Ling would be back soon, and he wanted to give her a surprise. The principle of forming a life was not complicated, but the process of forming a life was very complicated. One mistake and the life might break. There was a legend among the people. Fate was actually a bit like the growth rings of a tree. The longer a tree lived, the more growth rings it would have. Humans actually had growth rings too, but they were hidden in the body and could not be seen. Therefore, in order to live longer, the ancestors tried to increase the number of Fate Wheels. For example, a tree only had 10 growth rings, but if 100 growth rings were engraved in advance, the tree would theoretically be able to live for 100 years. Of course, this was just a rumor among the people. It was a very vulgar metaphor and not accurate. In truth, it was using many heavenly materials to condense a source of life in the body, allowing this source of life to continuously change the body's functions, allowing a martial artist body to age longer and always remain young and full of vitality. The source of life was the Fate Wheel. It was very difficult to form a Fate Wheel. The mystical materials needed were determined after hundreds of thousands of attempts and improvements by the ancestors. Creating a Fate Wheel was not as simple as creating an object and putting it in one's body. It also had to be completely compatible with the human body, completely integrated, and become a part of the human body. There were 3 steps to forming a Fate Wheel. The first step was to get rid of the impurities in the body so that the body could be as pure as a piece of white paper. Only in this way could it be more compatible with the Fate Wheel. The second was to form a Fate Wheel. He had to use the dense dark force in the deity sea and countless treasures to form a Fate Wheel. The third step was the most critical to make the Fate Wheel fit with the body. If not, the Fate Wheel would not be a part of the body, and it could collapse at any time. The Heaven Serpent Fruit was used for this step. Hunchback Tian tried to reach the Fate Wheel realm for more than 80 times, but failed because he was too old and his body was aging. Also, when he failed to form a Fate Wheel, his body could no longer fit with it. He only succeeded after Yi Cha gave him the Heaven Serpent Fruit. It took Lu Li more than half a day to memorize the secret method of forming a Fate Wheel. He didn't start rashly. Instead, he went out to have a meal with Lu Feishue, played a game of chess, chatted for a while, and then went back to his room to rest. He had a good night's sleep so that his body and spirit could be at the peak. The next day, he began to try to reach the Fate Wheel realm. First, he took out 3 pellets and swallowed them. The pellets were used to get rid of impurities in his body. The pellets would be painful. After all, he was forcing the impurities out of his body. As he expected, in the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Lu Li's body began to heat up. His skin turned red as if he was being grilled on a stove. As a matter of fact, getting rid of impurities was no different from grilling. The pellets Lu Li took to refine his body had the same effect. In order to refine iron ores into good ones, he had to grill them with fire to get rid of the impurities. Hot. Soon, Luli felt he was getting hotter and hotter. His body was boiling, and even his breath was hot. The pain was nothing for him. Sweat was running down his forehead, and his clothes were soaked. But he didn't notice it. He sat with his legs crossed with his eyes closed, motionless. Time moved on. Luli's robe was soaked, and there was steam coming out. He looked like he was in pain. Every time he moved, his muscles would tremble. Gradually, black liquid came out from Luli's body. His skin turned black, and he smelled bad. Still, he didn't open his eyes and continued to sit with his legs crossed. 2 hours, 12 hours, 34 hours. Finally, Luli opened his eyes, but his eyelids were covered with black dirt, and he smelled bad. There was no glow in his eyes. He was shaking as if he was going to collapse. He didn't have time to clean himself. He just lay on the ground and took a rest, gasping for air. The secret method of condensing fate wheel stated clearly that the longer he rested, the less effective the fate wheel would be. Therefore, Luli had to make every second count to rest. In just an hour, Luli opened his eyes and sat with his legs crossed again. This time, he began to condense fate wheel. He had the heaven serpent fruit. As long as he could successfully condense fate wheel, the third step would not be a problem. Luli took out the mystical materials one by one. Then, he took out a dagger and cut his abdomen. His abdomen split open and blood oozed out. Luli gasped. He took out some powders and elixirs that he had prepared and applied them to the wound. Mingyu and Yu Huashen didn't condense fate wheels like this. This was a secret method given to him by the Lu family. It was said that fate wheels made this way could be more solid, many times stronger than regular ones. Luli chose to believe in the Lu family's secret method. Regular fate wheels could be as solid as Heaven Grade Xian Artifact. However, Heaven Grade Xian Artifact was not that strong. Little White could bite through it easily, and a powerful attack from an Eternal Realm warrior could break a fate wheel. Big families had their own secret methods to make fate wheels more solid and unbreakable. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.